and dresses to the nines. Big D loves when he says it's rodeo time. Delgado might wear the tinfoil hat, but we all love, what even is that? Aaron and Fran always holding it down. We look forward to another crazy town. Kevin Downey Jr. fills another seat. His sharp wit and wisdom can't be beat. America's voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS 6B. Yeah, LFS 6B. Big D looking good in his cowboy hat, always intrigued where David Sears at. Our main man Harry is certainly no slouch. Come on Harry, get the hell off the couch. America's voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS 6B. Ooh yeah, LFS 6B. If you want some fun along with good insight, tune in 8 to 10 weeknights. Plenty of merchandise to be had. The odds makers reveal whose picks are bad. Hello, America's voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS 6B. Yeah, yeah, LFS 6B. It's time to stop. What you're doing, it's 8 o'clock. Friday night pizza show is on tap. LFS 6B is where it's at. Whoa, oh. America's voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS 6B. Yeah, yeah, LFS 6B. Does sports and dresses to the nines. Big D loves when he says it's rodeo time. Delgado might wear the tinfoil hat, but we all love, what even is that? Aaron and Fran always holding it down. We look forward to another crazy town. Kevin Downey Jr. fills another seat. His sharp wit and wisdom can't be beat. America's voice is the place to be. Got Slick, Delgado, and of course Big D. The show to watch, LFS 6B. Yeah, LFS 6B. Big D looking good in his cowboy hat, always intrigued where David Sears at. Our main man.
What's going on, everybody? We got about 10 minutes till the top of the hour. Let me, okay, let's get rid of that. Let's put that up. All right, what's going on, everybody? Morning, a little earlier than 10 because I want to be ready. We're just going to, we're going to watch the return here ourselves. Trying to get a hold of Harry on the highway to get some inside info here and what the hell's going on, but we believe that Steve returns at 10. I believe the location is going to be New York City. I think Harry on the highway is with him now. So we're going to watch what happens at 10 a.m. together. And watch what Steve has to say today. So it's really the only thing I got planned is to watch this with you. How's everybody doing? Trump is also talking at 10. Yeah, actually, let me. I saw that he's doing a press conference. I think at Mar-a-Lago, right? Let me get that up too. See if I can find that. All right. Trump speaks to the press. Here we go. Yeah, 10 a.m. Why'd they schedule these together? It's kind of annoying. Good morning, everybody. How's everybody doing? Good, good, good. Katie on Facebook, Huey on YouTube, Moon Pie on YouTube. Whatever platform you're on, make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Of course, always appreciate that. Eight minutes to go to the top of the hour. So let's put in the chat, 1, if you want me just to stay with Bannon, or 2, if you want me to try to work in the Trump presser, or we watch all of Bannon. Okay, so 1 is all Bannon, don't move from it. 2, take Trump when he starts, or 3, let's do all Bannon, then we'll go back and watch Trump afterwards after it's over. We'll rewatch it in VOD. So 1, 2, or 3. 1, all Bannon. 2, go to Trump when he starts. Or 3, all Bannon until he's done. Then we'll go back and watch Trump's presser afterwards. So 3 just makes it a long stream, which I'm fine with. It's totally up to you guys. So if you're voting 1, you're voting to watch all Bannon, and you don't give a crap about the Trump press conference. If you want 3, you're going to get both. So and 2, we'll go to Trump when we can if Bannon's in commercial. And we'll try to go back, try to balance it. All right, so most people are saying 3. We'll try to do both. All right, let's get some audio up here.
So much more next.
A lot of people saying 3, 3, 3, 3, 3.
We're excited to do business with you, but before we sign, I gotta ask.
Sure, anything.
We searched you online and...
Lots of 3s, lots of 3s. Okay.
I can't believe that garbage is still coming in. That is so false.
Frustrated with your online search results? Call Reputation Defender today.
So we'll watch all
to
of
join
Bannon, then
tens
we'll
of
go back and
thousands
watch
who
Trump.
Improve their online reputation. Get your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com.
Morning, Catherine on YouTube.
1-877-866-8555.
Hello, friends. Pat Boone here with a message from the past. Imagine the shock of reading tomorrow's newspaper and discovering the price of gold has doubled to over $1,000 an ounce.
Trump
Sound
after
impossible?
Bannon, Donna says. Yep,
not.
I think that's the plan.
That's
That's
right.
the
Back
plan,
in
Stan.
2006, my friends at Swiss America
That's
forecast
the
gold
plan.
prices would top $1,000 an ounce.
3s
They were
are
right.
for,
Today,
Linda,
several
3s
financial firms
are
forecasting
for watch all of
$3,000
Bannon
gold. Now, for over 40
and
years,
then go
Swiss
back and
America
watch Trump
has helped
afterwards.
folks like you and me purchase precious metals for home delivery and for our IRAs. So don't miss this opportunity again. Call or text Swiss America at the number on your screen now to receive your free portfolio review and a copy of The Timeless Truth About Gold and Silver. Learn for yourself how easy it is to safeguard your money. Call or text Swiss America today.
Do you have a box of videotapes, film reels, or photos that are degrading? Legacy Box professionally converts them to DVDs, thumb drive, or the cloud. Legacy Box is simple and safe. With over
Timmy on
100
Facebook
satisfied
from
customers.
Hartford, Tennessee.
Visit legacybox.com.
Thanks for tuning in. I grew up near Hartford, but it was only Hartford, Connecticut, which is a dump.
In credit card debt
Not
with the
Hartford,
help of
Tennessee.
Consolidated Credit.
Actually wasn't a dump when I grew up, too. I went into Hartford, never felt uncomfortable, man. I wouldn't go there now without a bulletproof vest and a...
If they don't moderate the content, we lose total control.
There's no guarantee to free speech.
It's outrageous, it's wrong, it's illegal.
They are
directly speaking to millions and millions of people, and that has to stop.
Deplatforming.
Damon, you should bill Trump for the time he has stolen from LFS6B the past few months. Yeah.
The censorship industrial complex.
Steve Bannon is headed to prison.
They're taking him out of the field of battle.
I think it only makes us stronger.
We're now surrounded by the war room posse.
Free Bannon! Free Bannon! This is going to multiply it by 10,000.
It's anybody that they see as a true threat on the board, they will go after him.
We're expecting Steve Bannon to be released on Tuesday.
Bannon is trying to reemerge as a voice behind Donald Trump.
They're not going to shut up Bannon, and they're certainly not going to shut up MAGA.
All right, welcome back to American Sunrise. I'm Dr. Gina. Thanks for joining us today. Usually we call this segment Sunny Side Up, and in the pan today, what else is there, you guys? The release of Steve Bannon from prison. This is huge, as Donald Trump would say. This is the moment that patriots have been praying for and waiting for. And 7 days out, I just can hardly stand. I'm so excited, I can hardly stand it. David.
Well, there's the picture this morning as Steve Bannon is released from prison. He lost 4 months of freedom to fight for freedom. That's what it comes down to. And, I think the question, Terrence, to all of us this morning, every single one of us, is what is it going to cost you? If you're going to fight for freedom, it's going to cost you something. It might be a relationship. It might be a job. Mm-hmm. It just might be freedom itself, as we saw with Bannon going to jail. Terrence.
To your point, David, I think the better question is, what are you willing to sacrifice for this freedom? It's going to cost you something, but what are you willing to give up? What are you willing to sacrifice? Steve Bannon sacrificed his freedom. What are you willing to sacrifice?
It's a great question. And I think the question that Steve Bannon will be asking patriots today as well. Great show today, guys. Always great to be with you. Thanks to this audience for joining us. We have so much more for you every morning. It starts at 8 a.m. Eastern. We will see you then. Steve Bannon's War Room is up next. Beautiful. It's nice to say those words again. Hug your children. Love your God. You go boldly now and live the truth. Make it a great day, you guys.
All right, let's go. Retrospective Steve? We're going to get a fiery Steve? What are we going to get?
This is the primal scream of a dying regime. Pray for our enemies, because we're going medieval on these people. We're just not got a free shot on all these networks lying about the people. The people have had a belly full of it. I know you don't like hearing that. I know you try to do everything in the world to stop that, but you're not going to stop it. It's going to happen.
And where do people like that go to share the big lie? MAGA media. I wish in my soul, I wish that any of these people had a conscience.
Ask yourself, what is my task and what is my purpose? If that answer is to save my country, this country will be saved.
War Room. Here's your host, Stephen K. Bannon.
So sometimes the vote in a national election is about the fundamentals. Like, is this candidate a good choice on the economy? Sometimes it's about a different kind of fundamental. Does this candidate say he likes Hitler? Sometimes it's a more personal thing. When it comes to just liking each of these candidates or not liking each of these candidates, Americans broadly like Kamala Harris and her running mate Tim Walz, and they broadly do not like Donald Trump and his running mate J.D. Vance. The latest AP poll on just this sheer question, do you like him or don't you? It puts Kamala Harris +5 favorable, Tim Walz +5 favorable. It puts J.D. Vance -16 unfavorable, and Donald Trump -17 unfavorable.
It's real believable. Yeah, I went to my
family. That's its own kind of election fundamental as well. And maybe this election will come down to the fundamentals, right? Number one, economic basics. Harris and the Harris and Biden administration with a rip-roaring economic record to run on, literally the envy of the world. Maybe they'll be on number 2, likability of the candidate. Voters like Harris roughly 22 points more than they like Donald Trump, who they really don't like at all. They just flat out like her and don't like him. She's positive, he's negative. She's positive by a little, he's negative by a lot.
This is what happens every night? I've never watched this.
Another fundamental, number 3, quality of the campaign.
Well, he said this is not about blood. This is not about blood. We are not bound by blood. We Americans are bound by a creed. And I remember Peggy Noonan writing in When Character Was King, explaining why Reagan believed what he believed about immigrants. She said, whether you had been here for 10 generations or whether you just got here last week, you are part of a story. You are a part of a history. That blood that has been shed on the battlefields across the world for Americans' freedom, it has been shed for you, and it has been shed for people who've been here for 10 generations. We are all part of the same family with the same history. And here's the punchline. We are bound by the same creed. And that is a creed that Donald Trump does not understand. That is a creed that Stephen Miller does not understand. That is a creed that people that talk about exclusion don't understand. That is a creed that Silicon Valley certainly understands, because America dominates the world
I don't think you understand what's going on.
Because of immigrants.
We're not watching this. We're watching
and because of people whose parents immigrated here. It changed America. It changed Silicon Valley. It changed the world. Once again, immigration comes in and makes America stronger.
As a few hours ago, Trump ally Steve Bannon is a free man, released from prison just days before Election Day. Bannon served a 120-day federal sentence for contempt of Congress charges after refusing to comply with a subpoena from the House Select Committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the Capitol. And the timing of his release could not be more critical. The New York Times put it this way, quote, Bannon's release from prison will unleash an agitator into a heated campaign.
Third election in a row in which Russia has tried to interfere to try to get Trump into the White House. How do you assess the magnitude and the type of interference they're attempting this year compared to what they've done in his previous 2 elections?
Well, as you said earlier, Rachel, he's at it again. This time he's not even trying to hide his hand, and he has far more sophisticated tools. You know, his AI is better, so he can make these fake videos. He has done things like spend $10 million trying to buy American influencers and get them parroting his lines and not even know it's happening. But he's also got a brand new, very, very powerful tool, which is Elon Musk and X. You know, in 2020, the social media companies worked hard with the U.S. government to try to do content moderation, to try to catch this stuff as it was happening. But this time, we have Elon Musk talking directly to the Kremlin and ensuring that every time the Russians put out something like this, it gets 5 million views on X before anybody can catch it. So it's quite dangerous. Although I do think the American
Did she say talking directly to the Kremlin?
This just in. Former Trump advisor Steve Bannon has been released from prison this morning. He served 4 months in the federal correctional facility in Danbury, Connecticut for contempt of Congress. In 2022, Bannon was convicted on 2 counts for not complying with a House Select Committee subpoena as part of an investigation into January 6th.
What a joke. Hey!
Live from New York, the world's financial capital. You're in the war room. It's Tuesday, the 29th of October in the year of our Lord 2024. We're 6 and a wake up away from one of the most important political days in the history of this country. But I want to make sure everybody understands something. And you see from our great staff here, and I'll talk a little bit about the production team and our co-host and, of course, the War Room Posse, all the great efforts you made so that it was next man up. And it's now my turn, right? It's my turn to be next man up, as you guys have done such a magnificent job over the last 4 months. Understand something, and this has to be very clear. The Democrats and those radicals you just saw on MSNBC and CNN and Joe Scarborough and that entire crowd, right? They had Robert Kagan's wife who brought this entire debacle on Ukraine on us. They have no intention of giving up power. We have a three-phase, and this is why it's so important for this audience. You're the backbone of this movement. We have two things we're going to talk about today. The get out the vote effort, focused on our first phase, which is November 5th. Then the second is to make sure that they cannot steal the election with Mark Elias and others of these, the nullification project that they're bringing in, which goes from November 5th all the way to Inauguration Day. But January 6th being a key part of that. We'll talk about in a second. The other is the delegitimization process. I have never heard, and I think most people would agree, the rhetoric that's come out about American citizens calling this audience, not just Donald Trump and not the people around Donald Trump, that's bad enough, calling us fascists, but calling you fascists, saying that fantastic, that amazing rally in Madison Square Garden that could never be pulled off by Kamala Harris or the Democrats, with that energy and people from Tulsi Gabbard to Elon Musk, just the broad cross-section you had of American entrepreneurs, Vivek Ramaswamy, you had these powerhouses up there, right? And they're trying to besmirch that with one influencer's kind of throwaway, not funny line. I can tell you, in coming from and being a political prisoner in a federal prison, that the young men in this country that are African American and Hispanic detest Kamala Harris. They detest her. We're going to go into details today and at the press conference of why that's up. But we have a chance to move past race on November 5th. Everything we have fought for so many years is all coming to fruition, and we have to have a convergence. And my fear is that some people, I think, are trying to lean on the shovel and say, look at the polls, these polls, and Trump always under polls, and he does this, so Trump's up 3, 4, 5. Hey, maybe that's the case, but that's theoretical right now. Reality is the electorate we bring on November 5th, and that gets back to you, that gets out to get the vote. Look, Elon Musk is one of the smartest guys in the world, right? If not the smartest practical engineer in the world. Charlie Kirk is incredibly smart. Look where they've put their efforts over the last couple of months. Look where Elon Musk wrote $150 million worth of checks the last couple of months. It is flat out, get out the vote. And that's where this audience comes in. Your efforts have been magnificent. The co-hosts that have done this for 4 hours a day and a couple hours on Saturday, and then plus other streaming we've done with Grace and Mo, the incredible thing of these people stepping up is everything to motivate you to make sure that you get out and vote. You know, Nancy Pelosi sent me to a federal prison. She sent me to a federal prison as a political prisoner to do two things, to make sure that she tried to tamp down the power of this show, right? Tamp down the power of the show, and also to break me. Nancy Pelosi, take out your number 2 pencil and write this down. This show has never been more powerful. The voices behind it have never been more powerful. The audience has never been more powerful. And we're going to deliver a knockout blow to your progressive insanity on 5 November. And then we're going to secure the deal after that. And number 2, the 4 months in federal prison not only didn't break me, it empowered me. I am more energized and more focused than I've ever been in my entire life. And I can see clearly, just like in 2016 and in 2020, exactly what's going on here and what we have to do to defeat it. I want to go back through the 3 phases. Number 1 is 5 November. All that matters right now in places like Pennsylvania and in Michigan and in Wisconsin, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, North Carolina, obviously other states, but these 7 battleground states, is to deliver something that takes us to where Ohio and Florida are today. We have to put this beyond their ability to steal it. Because don't think for a second by hiring Mark Elias and the gang of thugs around him, that they don't look at phase two. They understand Kamala Harris, it's impossible for her to generate any enthusiasm. Number one, what she had to do was to focus on one thing and drive the narrative. Her politics of joy was too ill-defined. She didn't do it. So what did they do last week? They pivoted to Night Falls on America. This is a fascist movement that the people that support it are equivalent to the American German Bund in the 1930s. That is a bald-faced lie, and it's a dangerous lie. So number one, on November 5th, we have to crush them at the ballot box. And there's only one way to do that. The commercials aren't going to do it. Only thing is going to do it is you're putting your shoulder to the wheel. The hard work of walking precincts, the hard work of working phone banks, the hard work of texting nonstop. And we have to put in superhuman efforts to support the Elon Musk of the world, to support the Charlie Kirks of the world, to support the other organizations that are out there doing this. Number two, and we're going to have hopefully Mike Davis and Boris Epshteyn and Bill McGinley, three of the prominent leaders in the legal effort to combat Mark Elias. They are signaling you right now what they're going to do. Every day, with you see, we're going to delay, we can't count the vote for 7 days, we're going to take mail-in ballots 5 days later. Every day after the evening of November 5th is going to be Stalingrad, where Mark Elias is in court, and they're going to do this to slow it down. If they can't take it away from Trump, if they can't nullify it right there, they want to at least delegitimize his victory. Remember, Jamie Raskin is out there dovetailing off of Nancy Pelosi's interview in the Rolling Stone, where she says, I only have one purpose in my life. My purpose is to make sure that Donald Trump is never reelected president of the United States and he never sets foot into the White House again. And Jamie Raskin has been very upfront. If they take the House even by a single vote, 218 to 217, what they will do is sit there and say that Trump is an insurrectionist, that, hey, Bannon and Vardy went to prison. Trump's been indicted. He's an insurrectionist, and he cannot take the office of the presidency. All that's in front of us. We're going to take a short commercial break. I think I've got the rhythm down here. Take a short commercial break. You're in the war room. President Trump is about to have a news conference. We're going to go live to that because we want to hear what President Trump has to say. We've got tons of guests today. We got Mike Davis, Boris Epshteyn, Bill McGinley on the legal side. Raheem joins us in studio here in New York. Jack Posobiec in Washington, D.C. Stick around. You're in the war room on the gathering of the Fight Club. Back in a moment.
Whether you're a professional driver or
Steve
just
is
a
back.
fan,
Segment
vehicle
one done.
breakdowns are costly.
Talking to Harry on the highway, getting a little behind the scenes, got some pictures. I wish I could show you these, but I don't know how to. I can't figure out a way to put them up.
If your check engine light comes on tomorrow,
Well, Ben, it sounds good. Looks good. Hasn't lost a beat.
It's an exhaust.
And by the way, the subject matter, he's absolutely right. Mark Elias is out there already. He's had a hand in a couple of these victories that we've seen already. I mean, you know, we have such a judicial tyranny problem around this country in some of the courts. And I don't know what we can do about it. Trump,
We got a brand new transmission, and we never seen the repair bill.
Reshaped these courts, and Biden has done as much to reshape them back to in a bad way. But you have these Biden judges all across the country. The one in wherever Elias just had a win. Judge says, "Oh yeah, ballots that come in 3-4 days after Election Day have to be counted." I mean, I don't know what we do. I don't know what we can do about that. I don't know what we can do about some of the judicial tyranny that goes on in this country in some of these courts, where these people put on these robes and they just think that they're there to put their politics on top of all of us. It's absolutely crazy. By the way, I've been monitoring President Trump. I don't know if he has not started yet. So maybe he's going to wait, knowing that, I don't know. Maybe he's late. I don't know that he's waiting because of Bannon, but either way, he has not started yet. So if we could catch some of that while Steve's in commercial, I would go to it, but the president has not started yet, so we're not missing anything there. Yeah, exactly. Okay, segment 2 coming up. Well, Steve looks good, I'll tell you that. Hasn't lost a beat on the microphone, not that I expected that he would have. Sounds good. Right back into it. 7 days to go. I mean, the second worst thing we can do besides losing the presidency would be losing the House, like Steve says, because then, here we go.
Stephen K. Bannon.
Okay, welcome back. We're live. We're live in the world's financial capital. I want to go back to this at the beginning. By the way, Raheem joins us here. Raheem, thank you so much. We got some.
Welcome back.
We got some. Thank you. We got some. I never left, actually. I never left because it was Next Man Up, and I can't be prouder of the production team and the co-host. 4 hours a day. And Natalie Winters, I mean, we had some breakout stars. It's just incredible. The work that went into this. When I said Next Man Up, I never thought in a million years it would go that smoothly. And I think people are just fantastic. Production team worked like crazy. It's because of the team that we've got and the co-host. But we can talk about that, and I'm going to talk a lot about prison today at the press conference and all this because there's a bunch of new developments. But we got to get down to what is important. Think about it. Think of this journey we've taken. From the beginnings of the populist movement, from Andrew Breitbart and Sarah Palin and everything, then Donald Trump coming on the scene, and Donald Trump leading this movement to heights that no one ever thought. 10 years into this, from Trump came down the escalator, the media doesn't respect the American people enough even to talk about this. What they do is you're a fascist, right? That's not going to work anymore. So Rachel Maddow, you're going to have to hit the rewind button. Joe Scarborough, we don't care what you say, right? You and Morning Mika, we don't care, right? We're going to win this election with ballots cast by people called American citizens, certifiable ballots from American citizens, and we're going to have a blowout win if we do our job here in the next 7 days. And then we're going to secure this win. We're going to secure this win. And Donald John Trump is going to get his third victory and serve his second term. And on the 20th of January at high noon, he's going to put his hand on his family's King James Bible, take the oath, and we're going to roll hard. And we don't care if they like it or don't like it. They're just going to have to accept it. And they're going to do everything to try to delegitimize President Trump, everything to try to nullify this, even worse than in 2016. Jack Posobiec's going to join us here in a second. Thoughts?
Yeah, the interesting part of it, I think, is that they are fighting themselves over this fascism stuff. You're starting to see op-eds popping up in Newsweek and stuff saying, look, we can't do that. It's not working. It's not right. It's not fair. You can't label all Americans who support Donald Trump. And by the way, recent Americans who have come to Donald Trump, either they came through RFK or maybe they came from, Elon world or the, Make America Healthy Again world. They're now being called fascists. These were people who 3-4 months ago, the Democrats would have counted on their side. And now feeling like they're being called fascists and Nazis.
Tulsi Gabbard was a Democrat, Democratic congressman. Right. Robert Kennedy comes from those storied family in modern Democratic politics. Elon Musk was a progressive and a Democrat for a long time, right? You're seeing this, but they will go to any length to stop President Trump. That's the reality. Am I wrong in that? Or you can see it right now?
Well,
when you hire Mark Elias and make a big deal about it, they're telling you they're going to the mattresses.
They already did. I mean, look at this summer. I know we're going to focus on it more at 3:00 in the press conference, but you've been there. You've been the victim of them willing to do anything, right? President Trump, 2 assassination attempts, and let's face it, probably plenty more operating in the background. This is a direct result of their radicalization, of their base. That's what's been happening over the summer. Listen, what you say, the fascism, the Nazism, like all this stuff, is the primal scream of a dying regime, right? Yes. That's what we're living through right now. These last 6 days. And if that doesn't force every single red-blooded American to the polls to make sure your vote is counted, Amen, and to drag everyone else you know along with you to say, this cannot stand any further. You cannot have a governing party in this country that calls most of America Nazis.
And our coalition is now going to include a wide swath of African-American men and Hispanic men. This is the game changer. I'll give you a lot of details about that, of things I learned in prison. Let me say something. If you're not prepared to be sent to a federal prison as a political prisoner, then you're not worthy to be in this movement and to step forward and try to save your country. You have to understand, they want to put you in prison, and they will put you in prison. If you can't accept that, then you don't know what they represent. They talk about President Trump. He's going to do this. He's going to do this. Look at what they've done, and look at President Trump gets sentenced on the 26th. Don't think they're just going to wave that on. This is a fight for not simply the direction of this country, but what this country actually stands for. Let's bring in Jack Posobiec. Thank you so much for joining Raheem and myself this morning. Your thoughts, particularly, I love the fact that people are talking about the popular vote. I love the fact they're talking about New York, and we're going to New Mexico, and you're going to Virginia, but that's not relevant. Look, this game has a set of rules. You're either playing stroke play or you're playing match play. The Electoral College is match play. We don't need to worry about stroke play. One of my concerns, and Raheem, jump in here after Jack, is that we have the ability to send a definitive message that populism and nationalism is not just on the rise, but has arrived as the dominant political force in this country with a blowout win, and we're right on the cusp of delivering that if we just don't lose our focus. And I'm quite concerned that people may be losing the focus here, particularly in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, which, as you and I have talked beforehand, I think only 10%. It's all going to come down to game day. Jack Posobiec, your thoughts, observations.
Well, Steve, thanks so much, and just say from all of us out here in the posse, and certainly from the Poso household, we've been praying for you and for your safety this entire time. And I just wanted to say thank you to Steve Bannon for taking time to take a call from my 6-year-old Jack, who this morning early on his way to school, because he was asking about Uncle Steve every single day he was gone. And I'll tell you something, though, and I said this at the RFK Reawaken America tour down in D.C., that now my son, 6 years old, his mother fled the Soviet Union. His father comes from a Polish family. And he's now living in a country where the President of the United States, the candidate, has suffered 2 assassination attempts. And he knows political prisoners on a first-name basis. And this is what we are up against, because this will go nationwide if we do not stop it here, and we stop it now. So when I hear about all this stuff about you're going to win the popular vote, and yeah, please, if you're in a blue state, go out and vote for Trump. If you're in one of these solid red states, go out and vote for Trump. But my focus, my steely-eyed focus, is on my home state of Pennsylvania, where today is the very last day of early voting. Today. That means if you get in line and stay in line in Pennsylvania. Now, the numbers are better than they were in 2020, but let's get serious. Now, Steve, when you and I spoke earlier this morning around 7:30 a.m., we were looking at yesterday's numbers. Only 10% of Pennsylvania registered Republicans had come out to vote already. That number has now increased because we've got the overnights out. So there's 3.6 million registered Republicans in the state of Pennsylvania. We're not including independents that may cross over and vote for Trump. Those guys might be there, but we can't use that reliably as far as banking our numbers. That 10% is now 12% because we got the overnights in. So yesterday, you had Pennsylvania Republicans, and I know because both of my parents were out there, they already voted back in September, but you had people out there, they were at the polls. Someone got arrested at the polls in Delaware County. Stay in line and get in line and stay in line. Be polite, be patriotic, but be firm. I am going to vote. So if you're going to the polls today, and if someone tells you to leave or something happens, you need to film what's going on and get that information to us. So Steve, that 10% is now 12%, 88% of Republicans still outstanding.
But hang on. This is jump in here. This is the point for the audience. I know the polls, and the polls are looking good, and you can tell these break points come about 2 weeks out, and the numbers and the internal numbers, I would tell you, guys are very enthusiastic. Even if we have a good day today, 85% of that vote has to happen next election day. We have to be maniacally focused on making sure, first of all, we're not just cannibalizing the game day vote, but the game day vote in Pennsylvania will be everything. And that's why people cannot lean on their rakes here and think, oh, I see these polls and Trump's up, to 1.5 points, and he always, what I'm
we don't know
hearing
what's
is
going to
driving me
happen on
crazy.
election day.
Trump always you don't know what's going to happen. Anything can happen. We have to be focused and we have to breach the blue wall. The way to victory here in North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, you still need a part of the blue wall. We have to breach the blue wall. If we want to send a definitive message, it has to be like 16, where we crash the blue wall. It's all doable. This audience is the tip of the spear. That's why we have to get superhuman efforts again and double down. This is a long way from over, folks. And I want to make sure we're not complacent, that we got to drive this and we have to run through the tape. Raheem.
Look, you know me. I am often on the pessimistic side of things, right?
Raheem, Jack, do you ever notice Raheem's a little on the...
There's a British expression, we're not going to say it here in the war room, but we know that one.
No, the black dog will get on Raheem like out on Churchill. The black dog will get on all over Raheem sometime. And he'll be in the mumble tank.
Having said
that's why Nigel's always the upbeat one. That's
right, and I have to drag him back down to earth. Yes. But I get called a doomer, right, for this. And I talk about last election, the Transition Integrity Project, and the ballot boxes. The beginning of spring and summer of this year, it's pointing out what I perceive to be flaws in the campaign. Get called a doomer, Raheem. Stop being a doomer. Now let me flip that on its head for a second and come back on something that you just said, because I have been looking at detailed internal numbers, and I go, oh, I actually start to feel optimistic about it. But to your point, just because you're feeling optimistic, you cannot for a second believe that, oh, now we're fighting for New Mexico, or oh, now we're fighting for Maine. But look, it is most people out there right now. The reason they feel hope like that is not because they want the hopium element of it. It's because they want to shove it in the faces of the people who are calling themselves them Nazis every day.
Okay, hang on. We're going to go to a short commercial break. I think we're going to come back and have a little introduction to President Trump's press conference. Trump and the campaign are doing a fantastic job, obviously. It's now up to the tip of the spear to drive this home. A big victory awaits us. Too big to rig, because the Democrats are all about stopping President Trump and the MAGA movement. Short commercial break. Poso, Raheem, and President Trump on Real America's Voice. The War Room next.
If you're... All right, there you go. Segment 2 in the books. President Trump, by the way, has now been moved to 11 a.m. They've now moved it to 11 a.m., so 29 minutes and 33 seconds on the countdown there. So, again, I don't know if that has something to do with Bannon or just that Trump is late, but President Trump has been moved to 11, so we're not missing anything there. The Puerto Rico joke was no joke. Media's done stories on it. Yeah, well, we talked about this yesterday. It's absolutely based in fact. Again, by the end of today, no one's even going to remember that happened. People on our side getting all up in arms about it, drawing more attention to it, prolonging it when it doesn't even need to be. Oh, I hope that doesn't hurt us. Do, 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 do. Sergeant Arby, thanks. No problem. This was the plan all along. Because it's not a serious issue. It's not a serious issue at all. Not whatsoever. You think people are going to change their vote over a comedian? I mean, what are we talking about? Come on. You know, I was going to vote against going to World War III and 12% inflation, but you know what? That comedian's joke didn't land with me, so now I'm going to vote for all of that. I mean, said nobody ever. I do believe that. Why are you not seeing that like you don't see New York as being in play? Because New York's not in play. That's why I don't see New York in play. That's why I don't see it as not an issue, because neither one of them is. New York's not in play, and it's not an issue. Plain and simple.
So there's so many shout-outs that we got to give over the next couple of days. Obviously, one that is Kane over at Citizens Free Press. Always doing a spectacular job. I want to really thank Kane for all the links. Natalie Winters, obviously, fantastic job as kind of the breakout co-host with many other people. Just fantastic job. Natalie, great. We're going to get Natalie, if not in the 11 o'clock hour, then at on the 5 o'clock show. Election. Before I go back to Poso, I want to remind everybody. President Trump. It's going to be 10:45, I think. They've been known to run, because they got so much stuff going on. He is going to give a press conference, and I think he's going to address this magnificent event at Madison Square Garden. The energy, the level of sophistication of the speakers, the bringing in of former Democrats to the MAGA movement. Jesse Waters, I think last night, the Chiron said, Trump's Avengers, right? It is fantastic. But go back, when you talk about Mark Elias, remind people, Bill McGinley will be our guest here shortly. Bill's one of the senior guys leading making sure we close the deal on the election integrity for President Trump. He's like the senior guy underneath Watley. Mark Elias, the Election Integrity Project. In July of 2020, Bill McGinley and Raheem Kassam, Raheem's founded, came to me and said, hey, this guy Mark Elias, he's their top attack dog on elections. He's literally laid out a blueprint of how they're going to steal the election, because they wanted to make sure. They said, well, we talked about this in July, right? Give me a minute on Mark Elias and why they are promoting so hard that Mark Elias is now is now been retained by Kamala Harris's campaign.
Yeah. And is gloating about, perceived victories that they're having in Nevada right now. And look, this is a direct consequence of the slowness, I guess, of the Ronna McDaniel era to lawyer up, to get enough people out there, to get enough cases on the books, to figure out exactly what was going wrong and where it's going wrong. And, my heart goes out to the people who are in there right now, Bill McGinley, a couple of the others in there. They're playing catch up in a lot of ways, and they're having successes. But it's a little bit of that. It's going to spill over past November the 5th. We know that. We know that there's going to be legal battles. We know there's going to be legal challenges. And what you're seeing today, right? The Supreme Court will rule on the non-citizen voting. I think it's Virginia, right? That we're expecting a decision any minute now. I mean, to have that 6 days out from an election, actually, it's a little embarrassing for the so-called state of American democracy, from a so-called party that preserves democracy and preserves election integrity. To have these cases going to the Supreme Court 6 days before an election, you just think the outside world is watching in and going, huh? They still don't know whose ballots they're going to count in 6 days' time. I mean, that is a really strange state of affairs. But just to come back on the Madison Square Garden thing, because I think it's really important. Over the summer, I said, look, you've got all of these great people now, right? You've got the RFKs, you've got the Elon Musk, you've got the Tulsi Gabbards, you've got all of that. I said, put them all in one place together. which is what happened, and call it the government of all the talents, the goats, right? And that's what you saw at Madison Square Garden. Of course, they have to figure out a way to flip it. And so what do? They go to their first instinct, Nazi, fascism. The, KKK held a rally here 100 years ago, whatever it was, right? And ordinary people watching the reaction from Rachel Maddow, what you saw on CNN last night, Mehdi Hassan, right? Mehdi Hassan, somebody who has worked for the state of Qatar, right, is going on there and calling all Republicans, all people who are thinking about voting Republican, Nazis. That's where we are, 6 days out.
Mike Davis, the Viceroy, is in the House. We're going to get Mike Davis probably at the 11 o'clock hour after President Trump. Posobiec, your thoughts?
Well, look, there's a specific targeted message that a lot of people, I think, are missing and overlooking for the subtext of what MSNBC, CNN, and specifically what I would say the signal here, not the noise, Liz Cheney. When they rolled out Liz Cheney, what did she say? Which was in addition to this hard pivot from joy to darkness to fascism to Nazism to all of these things. What did Liz Cheney say? Liz said, no one has to know who you voted for. No one has to know. So what they're saying is, read between the lines, they can see in the data that men, particularly young men, but men throughout the suburbs, men in the exurbs, they are all voting for Trump. So what are they doing? They're targeting this message. They're targeting the message, Jan 6, Nazism, showing Hitler rallies, which weren't even in the same building, which were in a different building that were all the way uptown 100 years ago, trying to tie this directly. It is a targeted psychological operation that's being run on suburban women. And they're saying, look, you can vote for Kamala Harris and nobody has to know. That's what they said when they activated Liz Cheney, when she went up on that stage with Kamala Harris, when she went up there, is that nobody has to know who you voted for. That's the new target, to try to peel away as many of these suburban female votes in the 7 swing states, which, by the way, the Sun Belt's looking good for us right now. We need to keep up the motivation, but the blue wall of the Rust Belt, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, those are the 3 where it's neck and neck. And that's why when it comes down to a razor's edge, things like this really matter. That's why you're seeing CNN, MSNBC, and then CNN throws Gerdusky off there with Mehdi Hassan, telling him, everyone's a Nazi, everyone's a Nazi. And they apologize to Mehdi Hassan. They're doing it for a reason, and people need to wake up.
We've got to breach the blue wall. Charlie Kirk brought out 6 months ago, we should have taken care of the Nebraska thing. We didn't. So there's not going to be a 269 to 269 tie. We failed. The Republican establishment failed to move on the Nebraska situation, and we've bought a big problem here. We have to, correct me if I'm wrong, we have to breach the blue wall in some regard, even if we win Nevada. So winning the Sun Belt, we still come up short. You've got to breach the blue wall. Now, it looks like the heaviest lift of all, which is always Pennsylvania, right? It looks like now, because of Muslim men, right, refusing to vote for her, is Michigan could really be in play, and Michigan may be where that breach is. Look, we could run the tables in all 3, but we got to take one. That's where you have to have the concentration of forces. I think 5 November, if we do our job, the country begins to move beyond race. And what do I mean by that? I mean African-American men, Hispanic men, and Muslim men saying, hey, I'm not doing this. Maybe in some regards they're not going to vote for Trump, but they're certainly not going to vote for Kamala Harris. And I have first-person experience on that I will share today at the press conference. This is where, and this, by the way, gets into gender. Your thoughts, and then back.
No, I just want to add one controversial thing, if I may, to that.
You adding controversy?
As Muslim men go, Muslim women go. Have to understand how that community operates in terms of how the votes tend to split up. And Muslim women might be telling pollsters XYZ.
But you're not buying that.
But on the day, as Muslim men go, Muslim women will go at the polling booth. We've seen this in ghettoized communities and in tight-knit communities, in Arab communities all across Europe for the last 2 decades now. And so I think that you have to consider that too. Michigan is much worse than she thinks.
And you think Michigan is our target? Michigan is the target even more than Pennsylvania. We got to focus on all 3. Pennsylvania, I think we can win and win big, because it's a phony populism, Biden, and she's not a populist at all. Neither is he. He comes from the credit card state. But Wisconsin's in play. but in Michigan, you can see it all coming together. Jack, I want to go back to, we may be moving beyond race to gender, and there's obviously big gender disparities here. Why is it they made a bet at the beginning it was going to be the politics of joy? The politics of joy was going to bring in the female vote. The hard pivot they had last week, I think, was shocking, where they went to night falls on America. Why is that? Do they feel they need to scare the women of America to come out and support Kamala Harris because she doesn't really have a program that you can kind of get your arms around?
Look, they tried for months, and it might be too little too late, but they tried for months to prop up Kamala Harris as she's the avatar of women. She's going to defend women's rights. She's going to defend reproductive rights. She will save you, the daughters, the granddaughters, all this. But the more that we saw Kamala Harris, because Trump just kept beating like a drum on this idea that she would not give interviews, that she would not bring herself before the American people and answer questions. And the more she did that, the more people decided that she was a terrible candidate. She has no idea what she's talking about. She is someone who has no operation, no agenda of her own, and she can't stand on her own 2 feet. So suddenly they saw all that in the internals and said, look, we can't go with this. By the way, this is what happens when you have a candidate that doesn't go through the primary process. All of this would have been shaken out in that primary process. And if the Democrats had nominated like a Tulsi Gabbard all those years ago, we'd be in a very different situation, but we're not. And Tulsi's a Republican now. So fast forward to today, because they couldn't get Kamala Harris over, what are they doing? They're doing the hard pivot to, you can't elect Trump. Trump is evil. Trump is bad. Trump supporters are bad. They are all fascists. They are all Nazis. They are all Hitler. And so whenever you see them playing this card, you know it's because it's the very bottom of the deck where it's been dealt from. They don't have anything left. They're going back to that final well. And for MSNBC, they have gone completely, MSNBC, Politico Playbook, these outlets have gone completely Pravda at this point because they're in free fall. And you've got James Carville out there who is ringing the alarm bell saying, if you don't do something to stem the bleeding, then there's going to be huge problems right now. So you're seeing the entire apparatus firing on all cylinders.
Look, you've seen it in the Election Integrity Project. That's why if we don't put up big numbers, if you think this is going to stop, you're kidding yourself. It's only going to entice them to say, oh, well, Trump really didn't win. The country's at a standoff. It's at a 50-50. None of his agenda comes in. They're going to fight it. This is why it looks like we're going to take the Senate by maybe 1 seat. Maybe we have a couple other pickups. The House fight. And I will tell you right now, Trump's presidency without the House is going to be a third of what it could be. Because, hey, number one, they're not going to seat him. On January 6th, they're going to say he's an insurrectionist. We have a report, and hey, Bannon went to prison. Navarro went to prison. Trump's been indicted 3 times. We'll throw a superseding indictment out there and get some other Trump's co-conspirators will come in. Jack Smith will be off the chain. They'll fight this tooth and nail, and then they will impeach Trump as quickly as they can. Don't take it from me. Read the Rolling Stone interview with Nancy Pelosi. She's obsessed to a quite unhealthy degree. She says her whole purpose in life is to make sure that Trump is not reelected president and that he never sets foot in the White House again. Raheem Kassam, your thoughts?
Well, I just wanted to mention as well that it was so gloomy here the last couple of days, and suddenly you're hearing the sun is shining, the sun is beaming through the windows. Make of that what you will.
The angelic presence of Stephen K. Bannon.
No, it's the first time everybody ever said I brought sunshine and light, and usually the cloud of darkness. Night falls in America is usually my beat.
By the way, an old friend of yours told me some very funny stories about the 2016 campaign just a couple of days ago, but we'll wait to share those. That's a teaser for a future moment. Steve, I just want to make mention of the fact, a lot of people are tuned in a lot. I'm reading a lot of the live comments at the moment, and a lot of people want to hear from you about your time the last 4 months. I know, but I just want to reset and let them know where they can do that, when they can tune in.
Today at 3 o'clock, we're going to have a press conference, and I'm going to give some details about my time in the federal prison system as a political prisoner, what I learned, because I learned a lot. And there's a lot of lessons there for the MAGA movement. Number one, I will tell you that if the Pelosi apparatus wins, you better be prepared to go to a federal prison, because these people have no qualms about weaponizing the Justice Department, weaponizing the legal system against American citizens who have different political views. And like I said before, if you're not prepared to go to a federal prison, then you got to ask yourself, are you prepared to defend your country and drive this the MAGA philosophy and the MAGA movement forward? Because Pelosi and these guys and Merrick Garland, that whole crowd, they are, look at Jack Smith. Look at the insane nature of Jack Smith. So hang on. We're going to take, I think we're trying to get, President Trump's going to step up to the microphone in a minute in Mar-a-Lago. We're going to go live there. We're going to take a short commercial break. I got Poso, Raheem, McGinley's going to join us, Boris. We got the Mike Davis in the house. Back in a moment.
Hey folks, I'm John Rich. Just as wokeness and
We're still 12 minutes away from the president. 12 minutes and 30 seconds counting down. So we have it here. So if Steve does in fact stop his show and go to the presser, then I'll just take the presser here, and we won't miss anything of what they're doing. So what's everybody think so far? Like they never skipped a day, huh? Never missed a beat. Although I have to say, when I listen to Steve, I don't know if I feel as I don't know. I don't know if I feel as confident going into next Tuesday as I thought I did. Anybody else have that feeling? Is that a yes? You agree? You don't feel as confident going in when you listen to him? Mm-hmm. Okay, some people agreeing. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. He is definitely sobering this morning. I'm sitting here listening going, does he really think that this thing is, I mean, I've been looking at the 3 blue wall states thinking she's going to lose all 3. Some of the numbers out of Michigan and feel confident, however, you need to know basic truth, and Steve always stated the fear factor. Okay.
Okay, welcome back. The president, I think we're getting a 10-minute heads up on the press conference. President Trump's going to have a press conference in Mar-a-Lago. Michelle Bacchus is our correspondent for Real America's Voice. She is there live. We'll go there momentarily as soon as the president steps to the sticks. I want to hear what President Trump has to say. He says a couple of special announcements. I've got my dear friend and colleague Mike Davis is with us, and why I spent my time in federal custody. Mike Davis, you were hammering every day, and man, did they come after you? I think you make their head blow up worse than Raheem, Pasobic, and myself combined.
I love it. That's my job. We have our general back, Stephen K. Bannon, the caged roaring lion is back a week before the election. And I think that the left is going to panic because they know that you're going to rally the troops.
This is, okay, so the election's a lot longer than next Tuesday. This is the reason you're here. McGinley's going to join us. Boris is getting ready to go into a meeting of all these lawyers. I wanted to have the legal team, the cutting edge, and the real fighters on this, because November 5th, we have to drive and converge all our forces on the 5th to maximize ballots and maximize votes. But man, it doesn't end there. Talk to me. When they hire Mark Elias, right, they're telling you they're going to the mattresses on this thing. And one is that they do intend to try to reverse the judgment of the decision of the people. But they think that even if they don't, they will hit Trump hard enough to delegitimize his second term. Your thought? Am I too over the top on that?
No, not at all. I would say this, the Trump supporters need to continue to show up and vote as early as possible in massive numbers. And we need to win this thing decisively on November 5th by 3 or 4 points, because if we don't, the Democrats, led by Mark Elias, who is a savage attorney, the best attorney out there on election integrity, they're going to try to do everything they can to prevent Trump from getting inaugurated on January 20th. Look, they've tried to bankrupt Trump. They've tried to throw him in prison for the rest of his life. They tried to take him off the ballot, and they tried to take off his head when they underfunded his Secret Service protection. They put Steve Bannon in prison, his top presidential advisor. They put Peter Navarro in prison. They tried to put his supporters on January 6th in prison until the Supreme Court stepped in and said you can't politically persecute them with the Fisher decision. They are playing for keeps, and thank God this time we are so much better prepared legally and politically for this lawfare fight than we were in 2020.
I want to get to that. I want to go back to Elias for a second, because he's been out of favor. He plays such smash mouth. He's been out of favor with some of the DNC and some, because this guy doesn't take any prisoners. He's even, I mean, if you're a ribbon clerk over at the DNC, or he don't want to hear from it, because he's going to war every day, right? I don't have a problem with a guy that does that, although I think sometimes he does not color inside the lines. Tell me about Mark Elias. Why would Harris, given all the problems that Mark Elias has had with some of the Democrat apparatus, that they make such a public showing of we've retained Mark Elias to be our senior guy, to be our senior advisor on these things?
Look, I respect Mark Elias because he fights to win. He's not like the Republican lawyers of the past who want to be the string orchestra on the Titanic. They want to look majestic as the ship is going down. Mark Elias will throw the women and children off the lifeboats, and he'll win. And we need more Mark Eliases on the Republican side of the aisle.
Do you think McGinley's going to join us in a second? Boris is going to come. We very much focus. Watley's at the RNC because of this. This is something 6 months. I mean, you warned about this. McGinley did 6 or 8 months ago. We started to get serious. Where is that program today?
I think we're in very good shape. We're never going to be as good as Mark Elias and the Democrats. He's just a pro. But this time around, with Chairman Michael Watley at the RNC, with Dave Warrington leading up the Trump campaign effort, Boris, McGinley, with the Article 3 project, we're making damn sure that it becomes much more difficult for the Democrats to rig and steal this election again.
Let's bring in, I think we got Bill McGinley. Can I bring in Bill McGinley, our old friend? And Bill and I go way back to the White House. Bill was actually on the 26th campaign. Bill, they've got Mark Elias. Boris, you, Mike Davis, others are putting together a team and have been working together for months and months and months. Where do we stand? We're driving to get out the vote. The Elon Musk guys are doing a fabulous job. Charlie Kirk, the Warren Posse's all in. We know we have to deliver on November 5th, but then the fight really starts. Where do we stand?
Look, I mean, right now what we're doing, and we've talked about this before, GOTV and election integrity are two sides of the same coin. And what we're seeing in the early vote data is that the posse and everybody else who has signed up to volunteer, who's committed to getting 10 to 15 of their friends, family, and neighbors to drive them out to the polls, to really kind of motivate this nation to change course, are doing a great job. We're seeing it in the numbers. We feel good about the numbers, but there's a lot of work to do. And on the election integrity side, What we've really done is we've built out some great state operations in Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia. I would also throw Virginia in there, Minnesota. And we're looking at some of the other states as well that are starting to really tighten out there because there may be some possibilities. So what are the buckets that we're concentrating on? Number one, we're focusing on transparency. We need to be able to have our poll watchers in the room as the eyes and ears, as an early detection system, so that they can elevate issues as they see them. Now, everybody who's done this for a long time knows that there's going to be sort of the garden variety issues that are going to pop up every early voting day, every election day. Everything from polls not opening on time. Sometimes they don't want the watchers to have such proximity so that they can have a meaningful opportunity to observe. And there may be some other issues that are handled at the very local level. The other thing the other bucket that we're really focusing on, and you see this from a lot of the lawsuits that have come this year, is we are asking the courts to instruct the election administrators, whether it's the Secretary of State and the guidance they put out, or if it's in the county registrars where the votes are going to be tabulated on election day, for them to follow the law. A lot of the state laws, we have some people who are trying to cut corners and not do what they want to do. You saw out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, a press conference that happened a couple of days ago where we actually had some election clerks who did their job. When they received a voter registration dump, they actually went through the voting registrations and found the anomalies and referred them, that ultimately they referred it to the DA.
Bill, hang on for 1 second. I got Posobiec, Bill McGinley, Mike Davis is in the house, Raheem Bassam, Kash Patel, with some other information on Mark Elias and the president, Donald J. Trump. All next. Short break in the war room.
All right. Looks like Steve's going to take the president, so we may not have to do much. I guess we can just stick with this. But just checking in. Yeah. Minute 30 it says right now, so we'll see. Whatever you're watching on, hit the like, subscribe, thumbs up. Appreciate it. Farmer Brooke, hope you're okay, Big D. If not, I'm available for tonight's show. What does that mean? Hope I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good. Why? I'm good. Please stay, Rav isn't loading live. I don't know what that means, but... Oh, I disappeared. Oh, yeah, no, I just have... I'm actually getting my pellet stove cleaned. So I got the guys here cleaning the old pellet stove, Big D's pellets. Getting ready for the cold. Do you have a pellet stove, Farmer Brooke? I mean, it does, but I clean it pretty regularly, but I get a professional cleaning once every year to start the season. It doesn't get that dirty. I mean, honestly, I burn it. Once it gets cold, I burn it almost 24/7. I turn it down one day a week. Usually one day a week, I'll turn it down, clean it myself, and then turn it back on for another week. It's the best, though. I mean, especially with the price of oil. Saves me from filling the oil tank, when it's cold here, you could be getting oil every, every 2.5 to 3.5 weeks at $800 a clip. I'll spend $1,000 on pellets that'll get me through the whole winter. So it's actually really good. I mean, and it heats the whole house.
Back to the war room. It is, what is it? It's Tuesday, 29 October in the year of our Lord 2024. I think I remember this date, right? 3 a.m. today or 2 a.m. today, got out of federal custody. Thanks to Nancy. Welcome, Nancy Pelosi. Thank you. This book's amazing. It's the photographic history of the war room. The only prominent star of the war room that's not in there is Mike Davis, because Mike Davis said, hey, talk to my agent. I need a fee. I need a sitting fee. Just saying. Finally, we taught the Irish how to get some money here. I want to go back to Bill McGinley. I got Kash Patel about Mark Elias. Jack Posobiec's with us. We got a lot more. As soon as President Trump walks to the sticks, we're going to cut to Mar-a-Lago. Michelle Bach is down there for Real America's Voice press conference. President Trump's going to address some issues. No, Jason Miller and the team are working down there with him. Bill McGinley, continue on. And Mike, you just jump in here, because this is phase. It's going on right now, and we need volunteers. But
yes,
folks, as intense as the get out the vote is, and we got to get to the 2 or 3 or 4% spread, this is not going to end on the 5th. I mean, already we know they're slowing down how they're going to count, but this fight is going to continue on, and you need election judges, election officials, but our legal team is on top of things like they've never been before. Bill McGinley, what do we need to do? What does the War Room Posse need to do? What's our outlook for securing the victory this time?
Yep. And let me finish up the second and third bucket of what we were talking about. We talked about transparency. We're talking about following the law to make sure that the election administrators are actually following the law, giving the voter registrations, giving the absentee ballot envelopes, the review that they are required to under state law. And then finally is integrity. And we see this with a lot of the non-citizen suits. Alabama and Virginia brought them. We've seen a number of other states like Texas. The Democrats, when the House was debating the law to basically require states to scrub their rolls to remove non-citizens, especially after the open border under Kamala and Joe Biden. If you're saying that non-citizens are prohibited from voting, then they should be removed from the rolls. And so we've seen some of the states do this. We've seen the Biden-Harris administration come in. And so integrity is a very important third bucket of the lawsuits and the efforts that we're undertaking. But here's what's critically important. Every election, since I've been doing this from 1996, has your garden variety problems. If you have a good election integrity problem, the success of that program is going to be having eyes and ears in the room when everything is going on. You have people who are trained, they're professional, they're polite, they are peaceful, and they are firm in what they do so that they can report it up so the lawyers can take action. And what you have is an early detection system so that you identify issues early so that you can resolve them before they become problems. And that's incredibly important. And that's why an election integrity program that's built on a volunteer army, and a volunteer army is the most powerful force in American politics. We've talked about this before. The Democrats are going to have not only the DNC and the Harris campaign, they're going to have $2 billion in Democratic dark money that is financing lawfare, that is financing volunteers. And it's not really volunteers. These are all paid canvassers. These are all paid individuals who really don't care about their candidate. They're doing it for a paycheck. And that's why they have to pay so many people to do this. Volunteers who are motivated by the passion they feel for the cause and the candidate is going to be far more important. And so where can you go to sign up? Well, the first thing, Steve, I will tell you, we need everybody to vote. If you still have an opportunity to vote early in your state, go to swampthevoteusa.com. Swampthevoteusa.com. If you have an opportunity and the time to be a precinct captain and to motivate your neighbors, friends, and family to get out there and vote, go to TrumpForce47.com. That's TrumpForce47.com. If you are in a battleground state, if you are in Nevada, if you are in Arizona, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, I want you to go to protectthevote.com. In many states, there's still an opportunity for you to sign up to be a volunteer poll watcher, to get the training so that you understand what the rules of the road are in terms of how these polling places and tabulation centers are to be run, so that you can understand the chain of command and the communication channels. Go to protectthevote.com and sign up to be a volunteer poll watcher. We need everybody. We need the posse to get on board.
If I can get that in the Chiron, our great production team. No, great production team. I want to make sure we get Protect the Vote, because that's the urge, and the other ones too, about the get out the vote. But this Protect the Vote is very important. As you see it right now, McGinley, and I'm going to ask Mike this right after you, is on November 5th, there's a lot of people getting ready, getting the champagne bottles going. How long, as you see it right now, is going to take some of these states in the presidential and particularly the House to actually start announcing definitive results? Is it going to be Wednesday? Is it going to be Thursday? We heard Jocelyn Benson saying something, Maricopa County saying, hey, it could take us 9 days. There's still the fight, I guess, at the appellate court about the timing of when mail-in ballots come in. As you see it, McGinley, right now, and you plan for it, what do people at home should they be thinking about?
Right. Well, first of all, I'm remiss in saying this. Always great to see the great Mike Davis, good friend, and really been kind of a warrior on all of these issues. But I will tell you this: we are prepared for the long run. We are preparing for the long stretch where it's going to take states a long time to do this. We're going to have the bodies, the eyes and ears in the counting rooms. We're going to have the lawyers deployed. We're going to be able to, we're setting up a structure to catch all the issues early so that we can get them resolved to preserve a Trump victory. Now, this is where it's critically important for people to get out and vote. Vote early, get out and vote on Election Day. My preference is that you bank your vote, you get out there and vote early. If somebody tells you that you're not on the voter registration rolls and you're a member of the posse, then ask to vote provisionally, but get that ballot in. I can tell you as a lawyer who's done this for a long time, we don't have anything to fight about if you don't vote. If you don't vote, there aren't the ballots there for us to secure victory. And so if we're going to be in the long haul, then we're ready for it. But really the get out the vote operation and making sure that we have a well-run, transparent, fair and secure election. If we can get all the posse out to vote, if you can be a force multiplier and get 10 to 15 of your friends to do it, as President Trump says, if the margin is too big to rig, we could see some of the states called early. But really what we're looking for is the margin that we have on election night is going to be greater than the number of outstanding ballots that have to be received, whether they're mail-in or any of the provisionals that have to be counted. So at the end of the day, what's going to determine whether this vote is called earlier or if it's called later is going to be what the margin is on election night. And that's why we really, really need everybody to get out there, volunteer, get your friends and neighbors and family voting, because what we want to do is we want to get that margin. And right now what we're seeing is a lot of energy from low propensity and mid propensity voters who are excited to get out. They want to change this country, and they're ready to vote for change. They're ready to put President Trump back in power. They're ready to give him the margin that he wants, and we really need everybody to keep up the effort. To borrow an old sports analogy, you got to play 4 quarters and play them hard and play until the whistle blows. If you're a runner, you've got to run hard through the tape and give it everything that you've got. And that's what I think this team, the posse, and everybody else out there who wants to save this country, that's really kind of the call to action right now. Keep up the intensity, keep up the work, and keep going so that we can drive to victory on November 5th and finally change this country.
Give me that formula again for folks about the vote. The spread we've got is bigger than the votes they got standing from mail-in votes, or they haven't counted them in Maricopa County. Give the folks that formula again that we're going to focus on in the next couple of days.
That's right. In addition to the election integrity volunteers to serve as poll watchers, we really need everybody to be the force multiplier so that on election night, the spread between President Trump's vote margins and Kamala Harris's vote margins, that spread, we need that to be bigger than the number of outstanding ballots that they expect to receive. And so that's where you're able to get races called early. And that's what you're going to look for. And that's why the news organizations will call a deep red state early. They'll call a deep blue state early. What we need to do is we really, in these battleground states, we really need everybody to drive your family, friends, and neighbors to the polls, because it's all about the margins. If we can drive that up and basically preserve the victory by the margin on Election Day voting and early voting, and everybody's done a great job on early voting. We're seeing some good numbers out there, but we need to do more. The work is not done. We need to put the shoulder to the wheel, as you say, Steve, and really drive everybody to make sure that we are getting everybody out to vote. Register if you haven't registered. Get out there and vote, and drag all your friends, family, and neighbors to the polls, because we need to produce this margin. This is the way that we're going to be able to do it. And look, you guys are talking about the Democrats and the lawfare that they're going to do. They're not going to give up power easily. But what we do is we really deflate their enthusiasm if they see that America has really signed on to President Trump, his message of America first, his message of putting American workers first, so that we can really make this happen. And bottom line, this is your election. You own this election. Put the sweat equity into this election so that you can save this country for your family, for your kids, for your grandkids, and for your communities. We don't have to live like this. It can be better. America is better, and it's on your shoulders to do it.
Bill, with social media, where do people follow you?
On X at WJ McGinley, and on Getter at McGinley WJ.
Bill, thank you very much. Honored to have you on here. Look forward to having you back. I'll let you go back to work.
Thank you, Steve.
By the way, I want to thank Real America's Voice. I guess we're skipping the commercial break. We're going to continue on. You're the viceroy. McGinley just told us, hey, we need people in the rooms to help us as the early search radar. What is your advice? What is your advice to folks?
I would say this election is going to come down to this. Do you want President Trump going back to the White House, or do you want him to go to Rikers Island? Because that's what's going to happen if President Trump...
Tell me about that. What do you mean? Why is that the choice?
That's the New York case. Remember that sentencing in front of that Democrats Manhattan judge here, Juan Merchan, is November 26th. If President Trump loses this election, he goes to Rikers Island. And guess what happens if Kamala Harris goes to the White House? She packs the Supreme Court with left-wing radicals, and there goes our God-given rights to speak, to worship, to associate, to protect ourselves. Everything is on the line on November 5th. And people need to understand that when they're thinking about voting this election.
You and Boris and McGinley have been working this for a while. Do you feel good about where we stand on the legal side to secure President Trump's victory as you see it right now?
Very much so. I have done election integrity for 5 election cycles in Colorado when they went to all-mail ballots. I know the tricks the Democrats use to rig and steal elections. And like I said, we're never going to be as good as Mark Elias, but we are so much better prepared in 2024 than we were in 2020 because President Trump understood that he needed to invest in lawyers, and so did RNC Chairman Michael Whatley, and they have done that. We have a really good team at the RNC. We have a really good team at the Trump campaign. They're working hand in glove. The Article 3 project is out there providing the political cover. If judges and lawyers and election officials follow the law, we're going to have your back. If you don't follow the law, we're going to come after you.
Okay, protect the vote. I want to get that back up in the crime. Before I let you go, Jamie Raskin is not being shy about talking about with the new Congress, if they take it by even a seat, throwing down hard and saying President Trump's an insurrectionist. He's been indicted for that, and we're not going to certify his election. Is that just hot air from Jamie Raskin, or is that something we should be focused on here in the war room?
I think that the war room posse, Trump supporters need to show up in overwhelming numbers, so something like that can't even be contemplated.
So we got to take the House.
Yeah, we have
the down ballot thing. We probably got the Senate if you look at some of these West Virginia, Montana, but we must take the House. That's not a Trump second term without the House would be a nightmare, right?
Yeah.
How quickly would they move to impeach him?
Within seconds. I mean, there's no question.
You believe that?
Yes, absolutely. They said it last time. They impeached him twice. They indicted him 4 times. They threw him off the ballot illegally. They tried to take off his head. I mean, there's no question they will do whatever it takes to stop President Trump and stop the MAGA movement. And we need to show up in overwhelming numbers this election.
Thank you, brother. Mike Davis, the viceroy. Let's go. Hey, let's go. We got Cash Patel. We're going to go to Mar-a-Lago here in a second. Cash, you've got some thoughts about, before I go to, no Cash? Okay. Do I have Jack Posobiec? Let's go to Poso. Poso, your thoughts. You've heard from McGinley and Mike Davis. Give me your thoughts.
Look, things are looking promising, and we are in good position, but we can't get cocky. Look, I'm getting reports from Montgomery County, from Bucks County, all over the past weekend, Luzerne County, where Scott Pressler is posted up. People are getting kicked out of line when they're in line to vote because of the way the Pennsylvania early voting system works. They're saying, oh, we don't have the facilities, we don't have the workers, we don't have the capacity. Well, where's little Josh Shapiro? Little Josh Shapiro, 5'3", if you stack him all the way high, he's sitting there saying, oh, we're going to have all of the best election work and everything's going to be fine and everything's going to work great. Well, why is it that Josh Shapiro, who was sitting up there laughing it up with Jon Stewart on The Daily Show last night, right? So the apparatus is telling you they know where the nodes of power are. They know where the targets are. Josh Shapiro hasn't said a word about this, hasn't said a word about people getting kicked out in Bucks County on Friday and Saturday, hasn't said a word about the long lines. There was a printer down in Lansdale, Pennsylvania, in Montgomery County yesterday, and people are being told that because it's not technically early voting, it is in-person mail-in voting, that it doesn't matter if you're there by the time that the ballots close or by the time that the doors close. And I'm telling everybody out there, be polite, but be firm. If you are in line, you are going to vote. If you can't, then request the absentee ballot and fill it out and be back there in the morning. But do not let them turn you away.
Walk me through that again. What are they saying? I want to make sure everybody understands, because in Pennsylvania, this is going to be a Donnybrook.
So there's two things. Again. It's already a Donnybrook. It's already a Donnybrook, and President Trump will be at Drexelbrook here in just a couple of hours in Pennsylvania. That they're saying that, oh, there's too many people showing up and the election workers can't handle it at the voting offices, at the Board of Elections, and these mobile satellite offices that they've set up in the area, particularly in those collar counties around Philadelphia and Philadelphia County proper. And they're saying, well, if the office is supposed to be open until 5 p.m., they're having workers go out at 2 p.m. and say, everybody has to go home now. There's too many people in line. Or you can't show up anymore. There's too many people in line. And Josh Shapiro is presiding over all of this and is completely silent. So people are sitting there going, wait a minute, I'm here in line. I've already been waiting 2 hours. What do you mean I have to go home? Can I at least get an absentee ballot request form so that I can get this in and hand it in tomorrow? And they're even being told no. This is hurtling towards an election crisis, and we need the lawyers and the election integrity lawyers from Davis and the campaign and McGinley all the way on down to understand that voters, our people, are waiting in line and being turned. There was a woman arrested yesterday in Delaware County because she started getting a little bit hot over it, but I can understand completely because she was being told that she couldn't vote even after she had been waiting in line for hours. That's what's going on in Pennsylvania right now.
Raheem, you've known McGinley for a long time. You worked on him. Quite frankly, you guys broke, I think, the most important story besides the laptop from hell in 2020, which was the election integrity project, where Elias laid through the architecture. Quite frankly, Jack, having worked with the Pennsylvania, to get the law change on mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania and other states, Elias was the architect of this. What do you take away when you hear McGinley give the warning he's given and Mike Davis is giving the warning he's given?
I get PTSD from 2020. Honestly, I mean, I get these, I would say, acid flashbacks, flashbacks to this moment where I was, we were both. I remember the most critical moment. We were standing on the top of the WNRC building in Midtown Manhattan, overlooking St. Patrick's Cathedral, and we're giving the speech to the group of people.
No, we kicked off the national roadshow on that.
Yeah.
And telling people about the election integrity project and what they had planned.
And my heart sank a little bit in that moment, I remember, because people were not just it was so much information about, what are you talking about? Who is this guy? What are they doing? This can't be true. And that's how a lot of Americans I talk to feel about and exactly what Jack is talking about right now is, how the heck did we get here? There was a time in America, you go to the polling station, you cast your ballot, your vote was counted, and that was the end of it. How did we get to this point where, okay, well, in Pennsylvania, at 2 o'clock, if you're not in line by a certain time, then you're going to have to go in Delaware, you might get arrested, when you go It's absolutely mental is what's going on here. And, you know, we always say this thing, I think, by the way, we have Trump at the podium here, so I don't want to talk over him.
Are we ready to shift to President? Let's go to President Trump, the live press conference from Mar-a-Lago here in the War Room, Real America's Voice. Let's go right now.
Such great spirit. I want to start by saying it's going very well. There are some bad spots in Pennsylvania where some serious things have been caught or in the process of being caught, but the election itself is going very well. We're leading, I believe, in all 7 swing states. So I appreciate everybody's work, and the spirit is unbelievable. I don't think there's ever been anything like it in our country's history, frankly, because we want to see our country get better. And that's why we're here, just to do a statement. And it's an honor to have some of our friends here. In less than 4 years, Kamala Harris has obliterated our borders, obliterated. We've never had a situation like this. Decimated the middle class, and runaway inflation has caused problems, the likes of which we never thought possible. Bloodshed, squalor to our cities is common, and they've unleashed a war and chaos all over the world. You take a look, everything's blowing up or getting ready to blow up. No respect for our country anymore, no respect for our leadership. No person has caused so much destruction and death at home and abroad should ever be allowed to be the President of the United States. You can't have that. You can't have that. So I'm running on a plan to save America. We're going to save America. We have no choice. It's the greatest there is. We love it, and we're going to save it. We have no choice. And it's going to be saving it from the incredible destruction that's been caused by crooked Joe Biden and Kamala. And she's responsible because he wasn't responsible, and she never said that. He didn't know too much about what was happening. Maybe that was exposed during the debate. And yet still the way they took that away from him was not right. It wasn't right. Shouldn't have happened that way. They walked in, they said, we're taking it away. They stole the presidency of the United States. You can call it a coup, you can call it whatever, but they stole it. They went in like taking candy from a baby, and can't have that. And she's running on a campaign of demoralization and really a campaign of destruction. But really, perhaps more than anything else, it's a campaign of hate, it's a campaign of absolute hate. And, you know, I said yesterday that she's a vessel. She is a vessel. It's a very big, powerful party with smart people. I have to be smart. But it's vicious. They're vicious, and they're perhaps even trying to destroy our country. Because who would want open borders where millions of people can flow in from prisons and from gangs, the worst gang members anywhere in the world? Who would want this for our country? Who would want all of these transgender operations all over the place, like at will? Even if you're in detention, I want a transgender. These are things she used to have. Who wants to defund the police? She's wanted her whole career to defund the police. She only changed recently. She changed on 15 different items. Fracking. She was against fracking at the highest level. Wouldn't even think about it. Now all of a sudden, I'd like fracking very much. But they change after the election in about 2 minutes, and I think Pennsylvania understands that. After 2 assassination attempts in just over 3 months, her lies and her slanders are very shameful and really inexcusable. And I can say that if I were president and somebody was being threatened, openly threatened, like they've threatened me, I would say, if you do that, even if this was an opponent who I disliked, if you do that, we will obliterate your entire country, and it would all stop. But they wouldn't make that statement. They won't make that statement. And essentially that statement has been made by other presidents, even concerning their opponents, as you know. Today we're going to talk about the real character of Kamala, and a person who has no remorse for the anguish she's inflicted upon families all across America. On the contrary, I have to tell you, Kamala intends to conflict and keep this misery going, and she's going to keep it going as long as she can, because that's the only way she can get elected. She's going out and only criticizing, talking about Hitler and Nazi, and because her record's horrible. Her borders are the worst in the history of the world. There's never been a border in the world like this. I always say in third world countries, banana republics, they'd fight them away with sticks and stones if they had to. We let them come in, come on in. Knowing in many cases they're murderers, they're drug lords, they're traitors in so many ways to our country. If they were involved in our country at all, even that, they're coming back in. People that left because they were traitors are coming back in. Everybody's coming back in. And it's at a level that we've never seen before. Criminals off the streets. And you know, other countries from where they're coming are now setting records, good records for them, where crime is down 70 and 75%, because they're taking the criminals off the street. They're emptying their jails into our country. And they're not finished yet. I'm amazed. I thought they would have done it by now, but if you take a look at Venezuela, their crime is way, way, way down. Then you go to Caracas and you wouldn't recognize it. You can actually walk the streets without being shot or killed or mugged. It's becoming a safe city because they've taken all their criminals. Most of them, the rest are coming. They're all coming. They've taken their drug dealers and they've put them into the United States of America. Thank you very much, Kamala. I appreciate it. But she continues, and she will continue this misery, and her policies have caused such harm and such pain. And the three great people up here with me are going to just discuss that for a little while, about what's happened to them, how their lives have been shattered. I'd like to begin with the story of one mother whose life Kamala has utterly destroyed this life. And we're talking about thousands of people in very similar situations every day under Kamala, open border policies. And if you remember, Joe Biden appointed her as the border czar. She doesn't want to use that term, but let's say we'll just use a different term. She was responsible for the borders, totally responsible. She never made one call to Border Patrol. 2 weeks ago, the Border Patrol endorsed me with the most beautiful endorsement I think I've ever gotten. And in all fairness, they've endorsed me every single year, but they've endorsed me again, and they endorsing me, saying I was the best president we've ever had and the best president by far on the border. They said that, and this is not easy for them to say, they said that she was easily the worst person ever to work with them on the border, most incompetent, the least caring. Think of it, not one call in almost 4 years was made to Border Patrol, like, how are we doing? I used to call all the time. I'd say, how are we doing, fellas? How's it going? Is it going well? And they're great people, men and women, Border Patrol, great people. They want to do their job. She didn't call them once. She released the two men who murdered this woman's very precious daughter. Everything you need to know about what happened, and the character of Kamala Harris, you'll know from just watching this video. We had it done yesterday. It's very, very quick, very easy to do, but it was very heartbreaking. We showed it in a room full of people, and everybody was crying. Some pretty tough people were crying. Please take a look.
Sunday night, I asked her to not stay up super late because of her coming to work with me in the morning to do her summer school. She said, okay. I told her good night and I love you. I went to bed, not realizing that that was going to be the last time I saw her.
We're best friends.
We're going to shake it again. I woke up to notice she wasn't in her bed. I'm in my heart trying not to lose my mind because I don't know where she is. I finally remembered her phone had a location on, and her phone was pinging just 2 minutes down the road, right behind the skate park. I start driving to the direction the phone was being pinged at, and I see a couple cop cars with lights on. I see yellow tape, and immediately my heart drops and sinks to the bottom of my stomach. My daughter's hands and ankles were both bound. She was strangled to death, left with no pants. And I know in my heart, she fought incredibly hard. She was not going down without a fight.
We begin with two men we're learning are charged with capital murder tonight, accused of killing a 12-year-old girl.
Police say these men strangled her before dumping her into that creek. Both men were in the country illegally.
Apprehended, then released by Border Patrol less than 3 weeks before Jocelyn's death. The men accused of killing Jocelyn Nungare are affiliated with the gang known for brutal violence.
Kamala Harris was in charge of immigration in our borders. If we had better border policies and not open borders and not these catch and release policies, I truly believe this all could have been prevented. Under her being vice president of this country, my daughter's life was ripped away from her. She had her entire life ahead of her. Happy birthday, dear Jocelyn. My daughter is 6 feet in the ground based off of policies that she allowed to keep. Kamala Harris did have one job, and she not only failed, not me, she failed my daughter. She failed Jocelyn. She was only 12. President Trump reached out, gave me his sincerest condolences as not a former president, but just as a father, someone who cares. I believe Donald Trump needs to be back in office. I can at least know that my next child will be safe in this country.
Thank you very much. So I know we talk about inflation and the economy, but to me, there's nothing more important than the fabric of our country being destroyed by people placed there, violently placed there, as far as I'm concerned, foolishly, stupidly placed there. I think what's happening on the border is the single biggest issue, and I'm seeing it more and more when I speak. I see it more. Inflation's terrible. It's hurting our country. It's just decimating our seniors. That's why I talk about Social Security, no tax for our seniors on Social Security, because they've been decimated by inflation. But what Kamala did to Jocelyn and her family is the most heartless and cold-blooded betrayal imaginable. Thousands of cases just like that, thousands. In throwing open the border, think of it, open borders, they come in from parts unknown. People have no idea who they are, where they're from, anything about them. They know nothing. They just walk into our country. And as soon as I heard they were doing that, I said, well, I know these countries. I know every one of the leaders of all these different countries. They're very smart. They're very sharp. They're very streetwise. I said, I know what they're going to do. They're going to open up their jails and just dump them into the United States. And that's what happened. They opened up their jails. And some of the most ruthless killers in the world are now roaming our fields and our streets all over the United States. I knew that was going to happen. And I would do the same thing if I were running one of those many countries that we're talking about. And not just the 3 or 4 that we constantly mention that are near us, all over South America, all over the Middle East, all over Asia, all over Europe, all over Africa. Tremendous numbers of people are coming out of Africa, and they're coming from all over the world. They're dumping them at our border, pushing them across the line, and say, don't ever come back. If you come back, we're going to kill you. And we're stuck with them. But we're not going to be stuck with them for long. So Kamala violated her oath. She desecrated our laws, and she got innocent girls like Jocelyn tortured and killed. Anyone who knowingly sets loose these monsters into our country has absolutely no right to be running for office, let alone the office of president. No right. So here today is another great person, an American mom, Tammy Nobles. 2 years ago, Tammy's 20-year-old daughter, Kayla Hamilton, who had an autism diagnosis, was found raped, tied up and strangled to death with a telephone cord in her home. Kayla's murderer was an illegal alien, MS-13 gang member, among the most vicious gangs anywhere in the world. I took him out by the thousands thanks to ICE. We're going to protect ICE. Kamala wanted to defund ICE. If we didn't have ICE, we'd never get anybody out. They're tough and they're smart and they love our country. But an MS-13 gang member who was apprehended by Border Patrol, but under the policy of our border czar, Kamala, he was released into the United States to kill. Tammy, please come up and say a few words, please. Thank you. Please.
I just wanted to say that Homeland Security did not do their job. Health and Human Services did not do their job. The Biden-Harris administration did not do their job. If they would have done their job, made that one phone call to El Salvador, my daughter would still be alive today. Kayla was a very beautiful young lady inside and out. She was independent, learning to become independent. She had 2 jobs. She overcame obstacles dealing, with autism and was able to find a job that she loved. She loved animals, especially her cat Oreo, and she cared about the homeless. She loved God and she loved going to church. And her life was just ripped from her 3 days after she celebrated her 20th birthday. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you, Tammy. And we will not forget Kayla. And she's looking down. She's very proud of Mom. Kamala's cruel and immoral actions on our border are actually disqualifying, in my opinion. She's unfit. She's an unfit person. And she knows this is going on. She never called anybody, including the 13 soldiers that were so needlessly killed in Afghanistan with that horrible moment in time where our country was just lost all respect from the whole world when they saw that. That's one of the reasons that Putin went in. He would have never gone in, ever. He wouldn't have gone in. If I were president, he would have never gone in. I ended his pipeline in Europe, no problem. And what happened? Biden comes in, he proves it right away, but he kills the Keystone Pipeline. Putin never would have come in. And he didn't, by the way, for 4 years. There was never a threat that he was going to do that. But he saw weakness, and I think a lot of it was seen in that horrible period of time. She is also aiding and abetting the cartels, allowing vast quantities of deadly drugs to pour unchecked into our country. And remember this, they now have an app. You call the app and you bring whatever you want, you bring them over, they'll tell you exactly. Can you believe it? They have an app. And they have airplanes, big, beautiful Boeing airplanes flying back and forth over our border. They were saying, where are those planes coming from? Where are they going? They were loaded up with migrants. They're dropping them out in the Midwest. They're dropping them all over the place. And I will tell you, if you look at Aurora in Colorado or in Springfield in Ohio they dropped 32,000 illegal aliens. They tried to give them legal terminology, but it's not. Illegal aliens, 32,000 into a 50,000 person town, beautiful town, no problems. And now they don't know what to do. And they want to be nice, and the mayor wants to be nice. His big thing is to get interpreters because they don't speak English. It's very hard to get interpreters. And he's trying to get interpreters, but in the meantime, they're taking up the hospital. So when people from Springfield would routinely be able to check with a doctor, go to a hospital, they're unable to get in, they're packed. The whole town has changed. And this is happening all over our country. Aurora probably is an even worse situation because you have the meanest, worst gang from Venezuela in the world, probably, maybe as bad or worse than MS-13. And they've literally taken over the town. They've taken over large sections of the town. They've gone into the real estate business. They've taken over apartment complex. They took over a number of complexes where the people are paying them rent. They've become the landlord. Isn't that nice? And they're rough, tough people, and they have the latest weapons. They have military quality weapons, and everyone's saying, where did they get them? We got to get them out of here. We're going to get them out fast. We're going to get them out fast. So today, I'm announcing that for the first time under my administration, we will be seizing the assets of the criminal gangs and drug cartels. And we will use those assets to create a compensation fund to provide restitution for the victims of migrant crime, and the government will help in the restoration. The government will help in the restitution, but something has to be done, and we're gonna get it done. Kamala has also caused untold misery through her destruction of our economy. Our economy is not, this is just, it's like a fake economy. Some of the best people on Wall Street are saying the economy is only good because they think, I don't want to say this because other people have said it. It's not me saying it, but they think Trump is going to get elected. That's the only reason our economy is good. That's the only reason the stock market is up. Scott is here, I think, someplace, and he's one of the most respected people on Wall Street. He's actually made a very big point of it, that the stock market is only doing well because of the fact that they think Trump is going to win the election. So we'll see. But Kamala cast the deciding votes that caused the worst inflation in our lifetime, maybe the worst inflation we've ever had, because I don't think I know for a fact they're not adding all of the numbers. If they did, I think it's the worst inflation probably in the lifetime of the country. And it's costing typical American families over $30,000. Nearly half of Americans now say they're broke. Think of that. Half of Americans are saying they're broke. They have no money. 2/3 say they're living from paycheck to paycheck, and that's a record. We've never had that to that extent. We've never ever had that. Millions of Americans are lying awake at night worried about how they'll pay their bills because Kamala wrecked their family finances, and she's done that. She's done nothing good. They have done nothing good. And I speak of Kamala, but it's partially Joe, but Joe's out of it, Joe's sort of out of it. He's been out of it for a long time. Now she wants to raise taxes for the typical family by $3,000 a year. She's got no empathy for the hardworking Americans whose dreams she's killed, and said recently that there is not one thing that she would do differently from Biden. That's only because she choked. I'm sure she could have come up with a couple of things if she really thought about it, because there's been so much destruction caused by the Biden administration. One of the things that people don't talk about, and the news never talks about, they don't talk about, as an example, Afghanistan, but this is something that's incredible, because when you think of the numbers, 325,000 children are missing. dead sex slaves or slaves. 325,000 children who came in through the open border are now missing. Many of them are dead, and nobody talks about it. I said, this must be a mistake. This can't be possible. When I read it, I said, this can't be. You're talking about take your largest stadium and fill it up many times. That's what the kind of numbers are. Here today is Michael Copy, a small business owner who runs a dry cleaner and is struggling to get by because of what Kamala has done to his business. They've destroyed small businesses in this country. Michael, please.
The opportunity and the high honor of joining you here today and sharing my small business story with you folks and the American people. So it's a chain of eco-friendly dry cleaners throughout the Tri-County here in West Palm. And it seems not too long ago, just a few years, the customer and us, the small business owner, we were able to keep up with inflation. There were resources available to us for expansion, or if you had a bad month, you know, if there was something you needed to make up for, it seemed like the support was there. And now, just a few short years later, it seems like all of those resources have dried up. The support's no longer there. We had an expansion plan about 6 years ago that we had to pause because we have to wait for our customers now to catch up with the inflation, the supply chain issues still, because we as a small business, we can't double our price points, although the cost of doing business now is 2, 3, or 4 times what it was just a few years ago. So we've had to get creative. Our industry, probably 30% in the dry cleaning industry, never survived COVID. And just recently this summer, I was contacted, my wife and I, by another local dry cleaner here in West Palm. They were asking advice. So husband and wife been there for about 35 years. Their lease was up and the landlord was doubling their rent, which would have meant that that's what they've been paying themselves for probably the better part of 20 years. So they had to make a decision. Do they hand the keys back, or do we get creative, work together, pool resources? And so what we did was we figured out the right price point for them, but we did their cleaning for them, at least until we figured it out. And so they were not able to pay their operations. They couldn't keep that going, but they were able to save their business by strategically partnering. And by the end of summer, I think I was contacted by about 12 other local dry cleaners saying, can you guys help us also, because we're going through the same thing. Thank you. And it seems now, so the delta between the reality of what inflation is right now and we have in front of us, the reality of that and the small business owners' capabilities, that delta is too great. So unless we effect change immediately, I fear that in the next few years, if we don't see that change, we might see another 30% of our industry and others no longer exist. So I just want to say thank you again, Mr. President, for allowing me to share my Go Green Dry Cleaner story, and thank you.
Okay, welcome back to the War Room. We're going to get ready to toss at Charlie. And by the way, Real America's Voice got another stream up of the president finishing that press conference. I think he's going to take some questions from the media. Maybe we cut back in either with us or Charlie Kirk. Big announcement was restitution for victims of illegal alien or illegal migrant crime. Thoughts? Big deal.
Huge deal. That's the huge standout moment of that press conference so far. You know, everyone's heard the horror stories. The horror stories are still unfolding, by the way. Worse. Actually, with greater frequency. Yeah. And to have the president up there, to have, you know, the families of the victims up there, and to announce, you know, a form of restitution for American families, not for foreigners coming in, not for chain migration families, not for Tren de Agua, you know, for American families who have lost people as a result, a direct result of Kamala Harris's open borders. That is a huge moment.
Huge moment. Put her on the spot. We're looking for a response from her. Let's go. We got Cash Patel. Cash, you've got additional insights into Mark Elias and the evil that he spreads. What do you got for us? Okay, fine. No Cash? I've done this 0 for 2 cash.
It's a cashless society.
It's cashless society. Cash, baby. I had you with your big open and government gang. Is I still have Posobiec, or do I have to go back to Raheem? I got Poso, or Charlie Kirk already got him working. Posobiec's going to be around this afternoon on Real America's Voice. We're going to go to Charlie, or his Poso. Is that Poso?
That is Poso.
Yeah, I'm here,
Jack Posobiec, restitution as the theme of the press conference, President Trump's big announcement. How big a deal is this in the closing days of this election, sir?
Well, this is huge. There's all this media chatter about the Hispanic vote. There's people saying that Trump has lost this Hispanic vote. It's all done. It's all asunder. But they're also forgetting the fact that it's the Hispanic community that is, by and large, the number one target of this migrant violence, of this illegal alien violence. They are the number one targets. And for President Trump to stand there with the angel moms to cut that just very powerful video yesterday with Alexis Nungary, the mother of Jocelyn Nungary, it's really highlighting the fact that President Trump is the one that not only is going to fight to make these situations not ever happen again, but if they should happen again, there will be restitution. And Steve, I'll just say this. The number one cheer at that Madison Square Garden rally the other day was when President Trump said he announced a death penalty for any illegal alien who kills an American citizen. That was the loudest applause of the entire night.
You're going to be back on later. We got Charlie Kirk's going to pick it up from here on Real America's Voice in a moment. Jack Posobiec's going to be on later to say right after Charlie Kirk. 3 o'clock, we're going to have a press conference live from Midtown Manhattan. I'll be going into quite a bit of detail about prison and how that relates to this campaign in modern American life. Now that the Democrats have weaponized the Justice Department, want to create a whole class of political prisoners. We'll be back at 5. Natalie's going to be in Palm Beach. I'll be here co-hosting with her. We got the 5 to 7. We're going to get into a lot more of this every day, Raheem. We're going to hit this. This is all that matters right now, is making sure that we get every possible vote in on November 5th and before November 5th, and then hold it. Your thoughts before we bounce to Charlie.
I just want to draw some parallels here, because I don't know how much you're aware of this, Steve, but they've just thrown Tommy Robinson back in jail. He's now serving an 18-month sentence in the United Kingdom. And just moments ago, I don't know if you heard this story from over the summer of this migrant background attacker who stabbed 3 young girls outside a Taylor Swift dance party, yes, which caused all these riots across England. They now have come out this morning and said, actually, the government said, oh, no, we can't do this, we can't talk about it, blah, blah, blah. They came out this morning and said he had downloaded terror materials, he had tried to order rice into his house, like all of this, and it's all coming together. It's all part of the same piece, whether you're in Southport, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in France, whether you're in the United States. The idea of restitution now for the victims of migrant crimes is becoming sad, a really, really petrifying reality for a lot of these people that live in these communities that have been taken over. And again, Southport in England, down at the not even the border towns. No. You look at where this is going. Yeah. Every town is a border town in America. And
I think I remember that. Every town a border town, every state a border state. Didn't
we just say this like 2013, 2014, yes, when we were back running Breitbart? Yes. Every story during the migrant crisis in Europe, we predicted every single one of these things would happen, and this is now happening.
Jack, got about a minute. Closing thoughts on our morning show and teeing up your presentation later.
Look, Steve, of course, the main thing here is that if you're in one of these states, particularly the blue wall states, the blue wall has to come down. Patriots need to stand strong. Be polite, be firm. I will not move. If you're in line in Pennsylvania today, make sure you vote. Make sure you get your absentee ballot request if you choose to do so. Then in Michigan and Wisconsin, of course, you've got a couple of more days there. Check whatever your local times are. And Steve, what can I say? Welcome back from your extended vacation.
Thank you, brother. The blue wall must fall. That's all that stands between us and victory. Got to lock down the Sun Belt. The blue wall must fall. And remember, unless we put up big numbers, they're going to fight us every step of the way, and they're going to try to nullify the 2024 election of Donald Trump. That is going to happen. Do we have Charlie? Can I go to Charlie? Charlie Kirk. I said earlier, Elon Musk, and look, as a populist, we have differences with Elon on a lot of topics, but I got to tell you, his brilliance of kind of backing your play of this get out the vote was absolutely stunning. We got a couple of minutes. Tell us about the show, but more importantly, your efforts, because Turning Point has been, I think, one of the deciding factors in this.
Well, thank you, Steve. And right before you went to prison, we made a promise to you that we were going to work harder than ever. And that is a promise made and a promise delivered. I'll tell you, it is a promise kept. Every single day we've been doing registering voters, these unbelievable campus events. This nonsense that Trump is going to win. Cockiness is what will get in the way of our victory a week from today. So what does that look like? You have to stop saying that Trump's going to win. I don't want to hear about who's going to be Department of Agriculture Secretary or who's going to be the Undersecretary for Commerce. That is completely irrelevant, okay?
Amen.
The amount of people that are lighting me up right now about, Charlie, can you get me tickets to the inauguration? And there's a lot of four-letter words that I'm sending in response to that. I say, how many ballots did you chase today? Why don't you get on a plane to Phoenix, Arizona, and go knock on some doors with the Turning Point Action app? Steve, we are working our tail off 7 days till victory if we work.
No, I want to reemphasize this. Look, it'd be great to win the popular vote. It'd be great to win some of these states. It'd be great to do all this. It's great for President Trump's second term. Now is not the time to focus on this. We got the southern states, the Sun Belt states, and the blue wall. The blue wall must fall. Charlie, what you guys have done has been extraordinary. I got 60 seconds. Just give me one more iteration of what you just said.
Look, again, if we are cocky, that is the way Kamala can sneak in here. Just so everyone's clear, we'll talk about this on the show. All of a sudden, she's got all this confidence back. The New York Times articles are saying that Kamala thinks that there's new signs of life because of the overconfidence of the Trump campaign. And look, there's no reason to be overconfident. We're up against the most powerful thing ever to exist in the history of the world. Cockiness is a cancer. And yes, our movement is ascendant. Yes, we've had a great summer on voter registration. Yes, we're off to a good start on early voting. It means nothing. Work harder, everybody. You got 7 days to save the republic. Stop measuring curtains and start chasing ballots.
The great Charlie Kirk. We're going to toss to the Charlie Kirk show in about 10 seconds. Raheem, thank you so much. We're live here in the nation's financial capital. Live press conference from Midtown Manhattan at 3 o'clock. We're back at 5, where you'll be in the war room. We'll see you then.
All right, there you go. We'll pull off of that. There you go. Steve Bannon's first show back. We watched it together. Didn't miss a beat. This is where they pulled off of the Trump presser. So we'll just finish this up, see if he takes any questions. If he does take questions, I'll call now that the first question will not be about the three parents that he had. Well, the three parents, two mothers, and this gentleman speaking about his business. It'll, of course, be about Puerto Rico, I would bet, and Tony Hinchcliffe, but let's see.
My Go Green Dry Cleaner story, and thank you.
Thank you very much. We really helped a lot of people during the prime time of the China virus. And we helped a lot of people, and we did it intelligently. Then when they took over, they just threw money around like it was dirt. And as you know, the recent monster hurricane, Helene, just wiped out so much. If you look at the different states, North Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, South Carolina, Florida, Tennessee, it was just devastating. And the response was the worst since Katrina, but really a lot of people think it was much worse than Katrina. It's still, they haven't shown up. They're not in North Carolina. The people of North Carolina have suffered incredibly, and there's just nobody to help them. FEMA has been a total disaster. We had FEMA that was fantastic when we did this, because we had our hurricanes too. We had some bad ones, but we did a great job with it. It's not there. And then you see that they, originally blamed, and then they tried to take it back, but it was a little late. But they said that the money was spent on bringing illegal migrants into our country. They spent close to $1 billion, and these were funds, that were spent. And you have to see, I was in North Carolina recently, and I looked at devastation that was just, unbelievable. There was nobody there from the federal government. The local people have done incredible things. Franklin Graham has done incredible things. He's been amazing. But there was nobody there. So we're pleased also to be joined by Christy Shamblin, person I know and I've gotten to know over the last year or so, the mother-in-law of fallen Marine Corps Sergeant Nicole G. Nicole made the ultimate sacrifice during the disastrous withdrawal. Not that we were withdrawing. I was going to withdraw, but we were withdrawing with dignity and strength and power, and we were going to keep Bagram, the big air base, because of the fact that it was so close to where China makes their nuclear weapons. 1 hour away. We should have kept it, and we didn't do that. But the way they withdrew, they took the soldiers out first. No, you take the soldiers out last. I went 18 months without one soldier. I spoke to Abdul, the leader of the Taliban. We went 18 months without one soldier even being shot at, no soldier being killed for 18 months. And then we left, and you had this group of incompetent people take over. Guys like Milley should have been fired. They should have been fired. Anybody that was involved with that disaster should have been fired. She was one of 13 U.S. service members who lost their lives. Kamala said she was the last person in the room, that Kamala was the last person in the room. She was involved in everything. She takes credit for that. She was involved in everything. That means she was involved in disaster after disaster, because nothing good has happened with this administration, except that our country has gone to almost a third world status. With Biden, when Biden made a decision, she said she was there. Oh, she was there. But the Afghanistan decision was a disaster in so many different ways. And now you take a look at it, they're right back to what they were doing before, except much worse to women. They're worse to women right now than they were even before it started. But Kamala never reached out to the family members of the warriors. And she said she was going to, but she never did. She never called anybody. And Christy, I'd like you to come up and say a few words, please.
Hi, good afternoon, good morning. My name is Christy Shamblin, and my daughter-in-law was Sergeant Nicole Leanne G., and she was killed in the botched Afghanistan exit at Abbey Gate. She was the cornerstone of a very large family. And instead of planning family gatherings and holiday meals and Christmases and baby showers, our family and thousands of other families plan outings at funeral grave sites, and that is where we as a family celebrate my daughter-in-law at Arlington National Cemetery, because she is in the ground. Her story isn't unique to our family, she's just ours. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of wounded veterans who came home from that war, who need our help and who are ignored by our current administration. President Trump demonstrates peace through strength. I know what he told the Taliban when he was negotiating with them, because I've made it my business to know. And what he said to them when he was negotiating with the Taliban, he said, "I will kill you if you harm one hair on one head of an American." President Trump shows up, he reaches out, and he can fix our country, and we can all heal together.
Thank you very much. It's so sad. So many cases like this. Nobody should have died. First of all, when they left, the soldiers should have been there. They shouldn't have been home watching, except for a small group, and many of them got killed, and large numbers. Nobody ever mentions the arms, the legs missing, gone, the face just obliterated. Nobody talks about them. I talk about them all the time. But I want to thank you, Christy, and we'll carry Nicole's memory in our hearts forever. The full consequences of Kamala's 4-year reign are almost too terrible to discuss or contemplate. We're coming to the end of a great campaign. I think we've had a great campaign. We've really not been provided the kind of protection that I needed as president, but I said we have to do it anyway. When Secret Service would ask for additional people, oftentimes we would be turned down. They were constantly asking for additional people. And I found Secret Service to be very brave. When I was hit and went down, they were right on top of me within seconds. I tell you what, those bullets were flying right over my head. I heard them. And these guys were right. I don't know how they didn't get hit, actually, but they were right there. You take a look at the video. One thing we would say, the video is there for people to see, but they were never given the kind of help that they requested, because our rallies were massively large and they needed more people, and they were always fighting for more people, and it was never given to them. Now they're being given, I hope, what they need, but we were, that was a constant fight. They'd come to me and they'd say, you guys don't want to give us the people. And yet Biden was covered, and they'd have like 2 people show up. But Kamala is grossly incompetent, a total train wreck who has destroyed everything in her path. She's destroyed everything. She left 21 million aliens pour across our country, and then she, maybe in a short while, has to go home, and she'll get herself a job someplace, who knows. But think about it, and she can look at the carnage, and she can look at all the people that have been killed. And you haven't seen anything yet, because they've just started. They're just getting comfortable in our country. These are very tough people. These criminals make our criminals look like nice people. And she let the more than 13,000 convicted illegal aliens, nobody would have let these people into our country. And remember, they came out of the worst prisons in the world, the meanest, nastiest prisons in the world. And when she says that she wouldn't do anything different, does that mean that she would have let 325,000 migrant children probably die, most of them, many of them, but at a minimum, they're slaves or they're sex slaves, and they're all over the country? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed that? Does that mean that she wouldn't have changed so many of the other things that led to so much death and destruction and even financial destruction of our country itself? We could end up in a depression because of what she's left with us. They are the worst combination, president, vice president, in the history of our country. And I often say Jimmy Carter's a happy man, because his administration, by comparison, was totally brilliant. It was brilliant. After Kamala endorsed defunding the police, she bailed out rioters, looters, and murderers, took them right out of jail during the violent crimes in the United States. Remember, that was in Minnesota. Minneapolis was burning down. It was burning to the ground. I watched the CNN announcer say, this is a friendly group of people. And over his shoulder, the entire skyline was burning. I've never seen it, but that's the fake news. But violent crime in the United States is up 37%. All of these different crimes are up anywhere from 37 to 105% over a very short period of time. And it's almost like nobody even cares about it. Very simply, Kamala Harris is not fit to be your president. We can't have it happen. We can't have it happen. We're going to make this country strong again. We're going to make it great again. We're going to be respected again. Her message has been a message of hate and division. And my message is about saving our economy, securing our border, bringing together the greatest and broadest coalition in American history. There's never been a coalition like this. Everybody's included. And on issue after issue, she broke it. They broke it together. But for purposes of this election, she broke it. Can't let her go. And I'm going to fix it, and I'm going to fix it very fast. And on the illegal, thank you very much. Thank you very much. On the illegal immigrants that will be taken out of the country, as you know, we're going to be taking them out. And if they come back, we have laws that will be immediately enacted where they serve 10 years in prison. They won't come back. And if that's not long enough, we'll have to do something else. But we don't want them back. They're not going to come back. And as you know, we're asking for the death penalty for any migrant who comes into our country and kills an American citizen or a police or law enforcement person. Because we have to protect our police. Our police are under siege also at numbers that nobody thought were possible, the worst they've ever seen. It's very hard to recruit. And really for not just the danger, it's hard to recruit because they don't have the spirit anymore for our country because they're being led with people that are spiritless. They really are spiritless. They can't instill spirit. But so that's any citizen, they get killed, it's a death penalty, and that includes police or law enforcement officers. But we're going to revive our economy. We're going to use a system of very fair, very reasonable tariffs. As I said, so powerful. We've never used them. I used them. China paid us hundreds of billions of dollars, and no other president's gotten 10 cents from China. China had a free ride, but so did many other countries. European Union is taking advantage of us. They don't take our product, and yet we take their product all over the place. We take their farming product. We take their cars left and right, right? BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, millions and millions. They don't take our cars. I said to Angela Merkel at the time, Angela, how many Chevrolets do we have in Berlin? Why? I don't believe you have any. I said, you're right about that, Angela. Well, we're going to change it. But they don't take our product. We have a deficit with them of over $300 billion. Think of that. And people think of them as friendly, but they're very tough and very, very fair. I mean, look, they united in order to take advantage of the United States. That's why they united. That's why they formed their coalition. And that was done to take advantage of the United States. So we know how to take advantage of them. We're going to take it back. We're going to take it all back. Those countries, many of those companies will be coming back. They'll be coming back because when they're told that they're going to have to pay a 25% tariff or 50% or 100%, we saved our steel industry when I imposed large tariffs on China steel coming in. They were dumping steel here by millions and millions and millions of yards of steel like nobody's ever seen. Our steel businesses were going out of business. We can't lose our steel industry. If for no other reason, our own security. We need steel. If we go to war, we're not going to go to war. We're not going to have World War III. But if we ever go to war, you better hope that we have a steel industry, or those beautiful tanks and everything else that we need to make won't be made. The planes, the tanks, the whole thing. And I saved it by imposing tariffs. They were dumping it. I think they were dumping it in order to destroy. Every steel plant would have been closed if I didn't do what I did. And we happen to be taking in, billions of dollars. In fact, it's so good that Biden has been trying his best to end it, but he's unable to do it. Too much money. It's been too much money. They're paying a fortune. But I would have had it a lot different. And we'll get along with China. We'll get along with Russia. We'll get along with everybody. We had the fake Russia hoax, which took 2 years. And then they came out with a report that we did absolutely nothing wrong. And that was a stacked deck, too. The people doing it, they couldn't say there was nothing. We had nothing. They checked millions of phone calls, not one call made to Russia, not one call. It was a terrible thing they did to the country and actually put us in a lot of danger, to be honest with you. I didn't have somewhat of a relationship with Russia and Putin and all. We had to have it. And by the way, getting along with President Xi and Putin and Kim Jong-un of North Korea. If you remember when I met with Obama, his wife was very nasty to me the other day. Oh, that was not nice. She was very nasty. She said nasty things. I was always very respectful of her, but she got up there, which shows you how nervous they are about what's happening. But she was nasty 2 days ago. She got up and said some bad things she shouldn't have said. They were wrong, too. But we're going to turn our country around, and we're going to pay a lot of respect to the three representatives, because that's what they are. They're representatives of millions of people. I mean, the businesses, so many businesses are just dying right now. There are millions and millions of people. They're representative of, and our wounded and our hurt soldiers. We have to take care of them. They came back from Afghanistan. Boy, nobody talks about them. They just don't talk about them, but I talk about them, and we're going to take care of them. You know, we had the greatest success with the VA, the Veterans Administration. We had a 92% approval rating. We got it so they had choice because they were waiting 4 or 5, 6. They were waiting 4 or 5, 6 months, 7 months to see a doctor. And I came in and I got, with the help of some of the great Congress people that are here, we have some great ones. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. We've got quite a few of them. And I didn't even tell them to be here. They want to be here because they know exactly. Oh, yes, very good. We have one of the greats. But they wanted to be here. A lot of people wanted. I didn't tell anybody to be here, actually. But they wanted to be. But we have to take care of our military. Think of this. Soldiers who are waiting 6 months to see a doctor. Can you imagine yourself? You don't feel good. You could be cured with a pill or with a shot or with something very minor, like a minor operation, and after 6 months, you're now terminally ill. So I made it, and they've been trying to do this for 48 years. I made it. We call it choice, like school choice, which is also a very good thing, by the way. But we call it choice, where you have your choice. You go to a doctor. If you have to wait more than 1 day, you go outside, you get a doctor, you get yourself fixed up, and we pay the bill. And it's been unbelievable. I heard just the other day for the first time that Kamala and Biden are trying to destroy that. They're trying to make it so that you have to wait for 6 months again, back to where it was. We had a 92% approval rating, and now if they go back to that, you were going to have. I did another thing. You weren't able to get, because of civil service, you weren't able to get fire people. If somebody was a degenerate, if somebody was terrible, if they treated our heroes badly, we want them fired. We want them fired immediately. But we were unable to get them fired because they were protected by unions and by civil service. And I had it passed in Congress, which people have also been trying to get. And we were able to fire 9,000 people out of the VA and replace them with people that love our heroes, as opposed to sadists. We had sadists. We had sick people. We had sadists in there that really harmed our great people, our great veterans, and we were able to get rid of them. We got them out, and we replaced them with people that can love and take care of these wonderful people that served us so well. So we did good. We had a 92% approval rating. They've been in the 40s and the 30s, and now it's heading back in that direction, I'm afraid. I hear they want to dismantle everything. And it's almost like you'd say, why? Why would they do that? Why would they do that? And yet they'll spend, you can't say money, because they give away hundreds of billions of dollars to anybody that needs it, but they won't take care of our veterans. They won't take care of our people. They won't take care of our soldiers. They won't take care of our elderly. They won't take care of anybody, but they give every time certain people come to town. They walk away with $100 billion for countries that many people have never even heard of. So I just want to tell you, this is a campaign that's been long and hard. I've been on the road or campaigning for 58 straight days. I haven't taken a day off. I'm proud of that. And I won't be taking one off. We have 7 days to go. You can be sure I won't be. and do many, many things every year. And I just want to end by, I've watched their commercials, and they're really fraudulent. They'll say, he doesn't want to frack. I've wanted to frack always. They'll say, everything exactly the opposite. Oh, I want to destroy Social Security. No, they're going to destroy. I'm the one that saved it. And for 4 years, we made it even better. I'm the one, and I didn't raise ages. I didn't do the things that they're going to do because they're allowing millions of these people to go onto Social Security, Medicare. They're going to destroy it. She's going to destroy the whole country because it's not sustainable by any country. But the ads and the statements that they make are exactly the opposite. They will say, oh, I'm going to raise taxes. He is going to raise taxes. Just the opposite. I'm going to lower taxes, and I have done that, but I'm going to lower taxes, and she's raising taxes by 30, 40, and 50%. But they'll have a commercial. And I just say this to you because I hope people understand. These people lie. They lie. They're very disingenuous. And we are going to finish up our campaign. And it's interesting because I haven't taken any time off for a long time. I tell you who can tell you about that, all the people that follow us, including the people in the campaign, but including Secret Service, who has been working very, very hard. I will tell you, they've really been working very hard. And yet a couple of days ago, she took off, and then she took off again and again and again. I say, how many times? You know, you're running for president of the United States. You had, like, at that time, about 20 days left. How the hell do you take off, right? You got to work. You got to work. So she says her teleprompter broke. Yeah, well, she better hope it doesn't. You know, they break. And if you don't know how to do it without a teleprompter, you got a problem. And she doesn't know how to do it without a teleprompter. So I just wish they'd stop lying because the lies are vicious, and probably some people believe them. But the good news is 7 states, Republicans never lead in the early voting because for whatever reason, it's habit or it's a certain security they feel in going to the booth. They believe in principle. But we never lead in. I don't know if we've ever led in early. Every single state we're leading in. Every single state. At an early. And we don't need all of them, but at an early. And some states are in play that nobody thought would ever be in play. But I think people are seeing, because again, we're the party of common sense. We're the party of common sense. And we want to have strong borders. We want to have great elections. We want to have fairness. We don't do things like, we're not going to have men playing in women's sports. I mean, that's okay. So we're the party of common sense, and we're the party of fairness, and we have a coalition. Nobody's ever seen anything like, I don't think anybody has ever seen anything like what happened the other night at Madison Square Garden. The love in that room, it was breathtaking, and you could have filled it many, many times with the people that were unable to get in. But politicians that have been doing this for a long time, 30 and 40 years, said there's never been an event so beautiful. It was like a love fest, an absolute love fest, and it was my honor to be involved. And hopefully, you know, they started to say, well, in 1939, the Nazis used Madison Square Garden. Well, and you know what? But can you imagine it? In 1939, the Nazi, they were. But how terrible to say, right? Because, you know, they've used Madison Square Garden many times. Many people have used it, but nobody's ever had a crowd like that. And I tell you what, right now, nobody's ever had love like that. That was love in the room, and it was love for our country. It was really love for our country. So we're going to fight like hell for the next 7 days, and then hopefully... And then hopefully, and most importantly, we're going to be fighting even harder for the next 4 years, because we're going to turn this around and we're going to make this country greater than it has ever been. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, there you go. President Trump not taking questions. That's how it ended. So he does not take questions. So the media doesn't get a chance to ask him about Tony Hinchcliffe, which is, I'm sure, what they would have said. So, all right, everybody, it's been a good morning. Bannon, Trump, who could ask for anything more? We'll see you tonight, live from Studio 6B. President Trump does have a rally tonight, I think around the 6 o'clock hour, kind of like last night. So if he is on time, we should be on time at 8 o'clock. If not, probably looks similar to last night. 8:15, 8:20. We'll take the handoff from Grant and Amanda, whoever's hosting the rally coverage, and then we'll take it from there. So we'll see you tonight. Have a great rest of your day. Thanks for joining me this morning. Welcome back to Steve Bannon. Good to see him back in the chair. 5 o'clock for him and Natalie Winters tonight. And then we'll see you after the rally that starts in the 6 o'clock hour. We'll see you on live from Studio 6B tonight. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day.